Can you hear me? Good. Hey, everybody, how's it going? Perfect. That is a fantastic response. Hey, if you're live, raise your hand. Oh, okay, great. Hey, I didn't have a person that was introducing me, so here I am. But I want to tell you exactly what you're going to be in for the next couple of hours. We were asked early on to put together a program for the future of travel marketing. How many people are marketers in here, responsible for marketing in your business? How many people are just like, this looked kind of fun? Yeah. I want to do two things. I want to make sure that you have an opportunity to be entertained and engaged, but also I want to make sure that you also have actionable content. That's the biggest thing that I feel like misses from this, is things that you can't just go apply immediately into your business. So without all that being said, we have a huge program. It's not just going to be me talking, thank God, but it is going to be my friends that I get to bring in. So just to give you a little hint here, we have an incredible marketer's marketer. So when you're a marketer in the industry of marketing, you look for people who are the best at what they do. And we have Oliver Bilson here today, who is going to be coming in to share what he sees in terms of trends and all the tools he uses, and it's going to be phenomenal. After that, we're going to have a panel of your peers, people in the travel industry who, one, survived last year. Like how they did that, who the hell knows, right? But they're going to share that. They're going to share tactics. They're going to share all the ups and downs, potholes, things that you should avoid, things you should focus on. And then we have my good friend, Ree Perez, who founded a company called Branding for the People. And he's been the unseen hand behind some of the biggest brands on the planet. In fact, if you walk these trade floors from the Middle East to Europe, most of those countries, most of those big companies, Qatar Air, Emirates, all those, they pull him in when they have crisis. So I thought it'd be really interesting to have a conversation with him today and be able to talk about what he's seeing over the last 18 months inside of those closed boardrooms with those big brands. Does that sound interesting? Yeah? Does that sound good? Yeah, I think so. All right. So let's talk about this. I want to set it up first to be the future of travel marketing, because I think when someone said to me, hey, Marcus, you need to go talk about this, what is the big thing? What is the big secret to our way back? And it's interesting because that was weird when they said it like that, because I think we're not headed back where we were. Like we just never will be there. I'm sorry. Does that break anybody's heart? Because I think there's a new reality. I think there's a new place that we're going to strive for. And that's really what I want to talk about. So the future of marketing, the future of travel marketing is incredibly human. Yeah, mind-blowing. I know. You like sight of it, you're like, oh my gosh, this is going to be amazing. No, I'm telling you, the future of travel marketing and the way we go from here has everything to do with being more human. And what I mean by that is most of our, there's only a few things that ever change about humans. There's things that change all the time, including our circumstances, but here are some things that don't change. Raise your hand if you agree on them. Okay, so this one, human behavior, right? Which they just mixed that slide up. Let's go this way. Here we go. We make irrational decisions. Raise your hand if you agree with that. Yeah, great. How about we love a good story? Yeah? Anybody? Anybody watching, anybody seen Dune recently? Yeah, not a great story, cinematically though. Holy shit, right? Oh my God. All right, hold on. We give and we take. You agree with that? Yeah, we give and we take a lot most times. So those three things in my mind as a marketer do not actually change. And as a marketer, that's really good information for me, because if I know these things to be true about human beings, then I 1000% can use that to my advantage. Now, here's the things in marketing that never change. These are the three things in marketing that will never change, even though we want to put our own little twists on it, right? The first one is the market itself. The market doesn't change. You need to identify who you're speaking to, the ideal avatar for you, the client profile that is going to make sense for your business, and you need to figure out who those people are. And then you have to think about your message. What are you saying to them that's going to get them to stop in their tracks? What is one thing that you can say to your ideal market, your ideal avatar, that will get them to go, oh, that's me? In fact, the measure of a great message is when somebody raises their hand and says, that's me. Does that make sense? How many people have done that? Apple does a really great job of that, especially their new their advert that came out during the pandemic, which is basically this. It starts out with a woman looking to camera in her Zoom camera, and she says, how's this whole working from home thing going for you? And then it's just absolute chaos with all the team members and everything they have. And all of Apple's products are strategically placed for 8 minutes in an ad. And you're sitting there going, well, Marcus, no one's going to watch an 8-minute ad, right? Right? Because we're all told that content needs to be what? About a minute long, really short, because we're all dumb idiots who can't pay attention. But what I'll tell you is that 8-minute advertisement has 64 million views on it, right? When's the last time you sat through a 3-hour movie? Raise your hand if you have. Right. So it isn't about us being dumb. It's about the content being bad, the message not being relevant. That is what we have to pay attention to, especially if we want to move forward. So the message, massively important, will not change. And then media. How are you getting your message in front of that audience, the market, and buying their attention? And I say that intentionally because a lot of us try to do it organically now. And unless you're a really good TikTok dancer, that shit is over, all right? You're going to have to pay money. You're going to have to pay to get people's attention, and that media needs to go to the right places. So these 3 things will not change, but our human experience does. In fact, if I go back here really quick, there we go. The best marketers on the planet, the best brands, who you're going to hear from today, they are actually human behavioralists. That's who's winning right now. They truly understand what makes you tick. Especially if you're their avatar or you are exactly who they're looking for, they are innately and absolutely captivated by who you are and what makes you move, right, and take action. So human behavioralists, humans, we do these 3 things. These are the 3 things that will never change in marketing. And here's kind of how we use it in marketing. Now, how many people in here were marketers one more time? Raise your hand. Yeah, so a lot of this is probably going to be a repeat for you, but if you're thinking about the message and how we get in front of people and get them to stop, we have used human behavior in marketing to do this. Things called priming, reciprocity, social proof, scarcity, and anchoring. These are all marketing terms that we use to get humans to take actions and do things we want. So let's start here, priming. Priming is a word or image, right? It preps people. So imagine if I'm on a website, for instance, and I wanted you to start paying money. What do you think I would put in the background? What do you think a background image might have in it? Yeah, money, thank you. No what? Goodness. Hey, are you guys alive? Raise your hand one time. Yeah. Check your pulse. We're good. Travel marketing, if we're gonna actually get back to where we were or to a new future, it's gonna take some energy, guys. It's going to take some attentive energy and some concentrated effort, and it's going to take a lot of priming. So if I'm on a website and I see that I want someone to take an action that involves money, I will put money in the background, right? That's a classic old school thing. Reciprocity, that's literally the idea that we want to put it into people that if someone does for you, you want them to do the same. So it's that whole thing about being human. We also learned about social proof. That's like this right here. How many people love bacon? Raise your hand. Yeah, raise it real high. Okay. How many people are disgusted by bacon? It's the worst thing in the world. It's against your religion. You hate it. One person right there, right? How many people felt in their, let me ask again. How many people love bacon? Look around really quick. That's double the hands from the first time. Not because I'm persistent, but because other people gave you permission to raise your hand now and be like, oh, they like bacon? I didn't know if I was at a vegan convention because I was scared. And now I feel good because bacon is, we're in with bacon. Good, that's great. Scarcity is just exactly that. I hate it. I hate it so much because scarcity marketers are absolutely the scum of the earth. But it has always been the most it is. They are the scum of the earth. Why? Because everything they do, you go on Priceline right now. Oh, that's it. Anybody here for Priceline? Good, let's talk about them. Priceline will do things like 3 seats left, 4 seats left. And if you're on a business class or a first class page, oh, there's 1. Oh, there's 1 seat left. Oh, it's on Emirates and it's first. It's 30% off. It's still $4 million, okay? But I'll tell you, that's an interesting tactic, the scarcity. There's only a few left. There's only a few left. And then anchoring, which we've been using for a very long time, and humans use benchmarks to evaluate. Now, this is so ridiculous. We do this, don't we? We'll take some random stranger's opinion, like Yelp or like TripAdvisor. We go on there. We look through the photos. Anybody else do this? Anybody go on TripAdvisor before they go to a restaurant? And you look at everybody else's pictures and their reviews? I don't know them. Why do we do that? It's like, hey, somebody come up to you right now and be like, hey, where should I eat tonight, sir? And you're like, Chinese. I'm like, well, I hate Chinese. And you're like, okay, didn't know that about you. Of course not. Because this is what we do with our brains. We're looking to anchor into other people to edify what we want, right? So we do that subconsciously. And when you know this to be true, and if you're a human behavioralist, you're going to be one hell of a marketer, especially going into this new future that we're about to talk about. So let's talk about the market. all right? This guy, oh my gosh, this picture. You don't need to hold your applause, all right? It's pretty special. There we go, energy. Let me tell you this, most people, when they identify the market, they'll go through avatar worksheets. Anybody ever done an avatar worksheet? Yeah, right? They focus a ton on this demographic side. Hey, this guy, age 37, gender, male, occupation, CEO, ethnicity, ambiguous. What am I? Do I like bananas or plantains? You'll never know. You'll never know. My dad's black, my mom's Italian, so I guess I'm Puerto Rican. Here we go. So geolocation, London town, that's where I live. Education, university level, of religion, Christian on most days, and married, sorry ladies, and then I got 2 kids, okay? This is usually where marketing stops for most companies. And in fact, before the pandemic, this was perfectly acceptable for the travel industry. Hey, all these things right here, let's build a whole campaign around it, make sure they have a pulse, and make sure they like all this stuff. By the way, do they like golf? Great. Do they like horses? Awesome. We have that on the beach. We have to go further. Psychographics is what the modern marketer pays the closest attention to. These are questions like this. Personality, outgoing, social, open, clearly, very much. Lifestyle, extravagant, luxury, opulence. That's not me. Social class, upper, geez. Attitude, strong, liberal, inclusive. Thank you, right? That's good. Principles, be a good person, love people. Beliefs, moderate. I would say that also plays to my other demographic side. Active, football, working out, travel, and then interests, comedians, podcasts, eating food. Anybody, by the way, I see everybody holding their phones up and taking pictures. Anybody doing that with an iPad? That's like the new fanny pack or bum bag for me. So I'm just feeling like, seeing somebody put up this big thing. By the way, you can get all these slides. Do you always want them? You want the slides? You'll get them after the presentation. Actually, every single person that's about to come up here on this stage, including Mr. Oliver Bilson, you guys should Google who that is. By the way, if you don't know who that is in the marketing world, he'll have his slides for you too. All right, so human. Human is interesting to me because it is a lens with which we need to look at marketing. We need to look at all of our new situations because it's not B2C. It's not B2B. It's human to human. In fact, if you're really good at that, if you're really good at being a human being yourself, oh, man. When I say, hey, anybody in here awake? One more time. Yeah, you're winning, human beings. That's awesome. So let's talk about that message. The message is one of the most important things to think through, and in fact, we've been getting it wrong for a really long time. But I think that the pandemic itself has shown me, looking out at the landscape of all the businesses, and especially this travel industry, is that our messages have to change and evolve. They 1,000% have to change and evolve. So humans love a good story was my second pillar about humans and things that never change, right? We love good stories, don't we? How many people love films? How many people read books still? Yeah, a couple of liars. Everybody's a liar right here. You ride on the plane next to me and you put your book out there. You never open it. You just want me to see that you are smart and intellectual. That's what you have a book for. Or it holds up a coffee table that has a broken leg. Let's be real. Films are winning by a mile because they're easy, consumable, and it's like crack cocaine. So we love stories. But more than stories, we crave characters. We crave them. Oh my gosh, give us a good story, but give us characters that we can fall in love with, people that we can identify with, we can impose ourselves on. That is even more of a human condition. Now, why am I telling you all about characters and stories? Because that's what messaging is. That's what sells. That's what marketing at its core does. If you want to have people come to your destination, if you want people to get on your bus to go wherever the hell you want to go, you're going to have to tell a really good story. And you're going to have to create a character to do so. Now, characters are interesting because character archetypes, they've never changed. There are only few of them, and here they are. Character archetypes, let me give you an example. So the warrior, the child, the orphan, the creator. So the creator would be Willy Wonka. That's this archetype. The mentor, the caregiver, the rebel, the child would be like Alice in Wonderland would be a really good one. But the reason why characters are so important is because you have to understand who the character that you're trying to speak to is. And then you also have to figure out what character you are in that story. And the more that you know that, the more powerful you're going to be when we start trying to get people's attention again, because engagement is at an all-time low. It just is. When's the last time you picked up a number you didn't know? Raise your hand if you did that in the last couple of days. One absolute lunatic over here on the left, okay? Sir, I'm kidding. You look fine. We don't do that because we are looking for opportunities in order for people to come to us. That's what we want to do. Is there a train coming? What is happening? Is that an airplane? What is that? Where are we right now? It's like a bunker? Take cover. All right. So anybody theater? Anybody like theater? Anybody theatrical? I see a few of you out there. Oh, yes, you absolutely look like you like talking to people. And I will say this. In theater, when they used to write plays, so we'll go way before film, they used to put together what's called a character diamond. Anybody familiar with a character diamond? Character diamonds are really special because what they do is, in every story, you have to create a character as a writer. And in that, you have to create a character and how they view themselves, how they view the world, how the world views them. And what we don't do enough of in our business is create our character diamond. So I want to teach you how to do that. Does that sound good really quick? Teach you how to do it, your own character diamond. So you have to create your own character archetype and figure out how and what that is in order to speak to your market. So let's talk about this. There's always a primary character trait. And I will give you mine, and then to give you an example, but there's always a primary one. This is your default. This is everything, and this would also be your market's default. This is where they typically go. So for me, it's like savant. Savant would be my pretentious one, right? But in a way, what I mean is that I am out there in the world. I'm learning constantly. I still, even after all my businesses that I founded, I still consider myself a teacher. Like, I love this. Put me on stage, not in a boardroom. Like, I like this. I like teaching every single day. So I would say that my primary characteristic would either be Sherpa, guide, teacher, or in my case, savant, because I feel like that's important. We have to know our stuff. Then you have this counter character trait. And a counter character trait balances out that other part. So if I said that I'm a savant, one, I'm a jerk for saying that. Like, it's just, no one's my friend. If I'm like, hey guys, my name's Marcus, I'm a savant. Cool, all right, I'm better than you. I'm not saying it, but I am. The counterbalance to that has to be something that is completely the opposite to make you human. So in my case, I would put irreverent as mine. Absolutely 1,000% irreverent. Because I love parts of movies like in Forrest. Have you seen Forrest Gump in here? You know the part where he's like meeting the president, he's like, I gotta pee. And then he like runs off stage. Like, I think that that's actually pretty great because it has to make that character tolerable. Because Forrest Gump ran marathons, he ran all over the thing. He like had a football scholarship. He was a war veteran, whatever. Like, he did everything. Now, that's the same thing to us. Like, think about it like this. How many people like superheroes? Anybody in here? Okay, great. So let's say this, Superman. Superman is impervious. Superwoman, impervious. They can fly, they can see through walls and people. They have lasers that come out of their eyes. If they didn't have kryptonite, oh, we would hate them so much. Oh yeah, that little green rock makes all that stuff go away like this. And it's the counterbalance to make sure that we don't hate them because we can't fly. We can't see through walls. So we need the counterbalance. Now, the other part of this on this side is the non-negotiable. Now, this is the hill that you will die on. This is the thing that 1,000% you'll never go against as your character type. And it's a really good balance because in my case, it'd be like, I'm never going to teach something I don't actually do. I'm not a theologian, I'm a practitioner. I will never come in here and be like, well, let me hypothetically, I'm not going to tell you about that. That creates ivory towers. We need practical things that we can go do in our businesses, so I'll never do that. My other one is my quirk, mask, flaw. This is my not so secret sin. This is the thing that makes it like you'll forgive me. Does that make sense? It's not so bad, but it's like, oh, he has a flaw which allows me to actually want to follow that. So every brand, think about every brand. Think about your favorite brand. Anybody just yell out your favorite brand really quick. Yell it out. Red Bull. I looked at you and I said Red Bull right away. I knew it. What else? Brands. Nike, right? And then here, Nike. You know, we dropped the E. What else? Yell out your favorite brands. Google. No one's saying Meta. I heard it in the back. All right. Your favorite brand, I know you all have it in your mind. If you don't want to shout out, you don't have to. But every single brand that you love the most, those really good ones, Apple's, Google's, Nike, all of them, they go through this exercise. but they don't share that with you because you're the consumer. So if you're sitting there right now and you're thinking about the travel industry and how you get back and your message to the travel industry and how you haven't even created a character diamond for yourself. You don't know how you view the world, how you want the world to view you, and you certainly don't know the avatar and the market's character diamond that you're trying to reach. This alone right here, we could stop the whole show because it's so valuable to understand that most of the time your messaging is just missing. Because you actually haven't taken the time, like those big, amazing brands that you love, to do something so simple like creating a character archetype for yourself. Oh, goodness, I'm on fire. This is good. This is really good. All right, good. Modest was also one of mine, which is nice. Okay, the other things that big brands do that I think are really great is the message part of it is that they're trying to articulate an after state. Everybody is somewhere now, and everybody wants to be somewhere. I think this is 100,000% relevant for the travel industry, right? We know where people are sitting right now. Where are they sitting? Most of them are at home, okay? Most of them have been at home for a minute. And I'll say this, which is really wild, is that most of us in here are just thanking our lucky stars that we have a place where we can come right now and sit next to each other and learn. Am I right? Can I get a little round of applause for like us being back here really quick? This is really special. I'm so thankful that we get to do this. But the one thing that I think of messages, the strongest ones, are people that can truly articulate the after. So they know where their avatar, they know that character diamond of the market. They can clearly articulate that because they know exactly where they are, and then they can come all the way over here and create a new reality that that person would want to be in. Does that make sense? We don't do a great job of this because we aren't really thinking about the future ever. As human beings, we rarely spend time in the future. We just don't. We love, like we're right here most of the time. This is our reality. And in fact, the most smart marketers in the world can remove that and they can take a step back, 360 it, and know that everybody else in the world is like this. So how do you get people to remove that, get them excited enough to take action, to go do something, to get out of their house again, to get on an airplane, to go to Malta, right? Of all places, I love Malta, but it's off the hook. But this is what happens. They are really good at articulating. And when they articulate the after, they go, oh my gosh, this is who you're going to be. This is who you're going to be around. This is what your life's going to look like. These are the benefit. Then all of a sudden it's like, oh, these people are motivated. They are so excited that somebody figured out where they should be going. Does that make sense? And then the actual value is the distance between where they are and where they want to be and how you can help them get there faster. That is the secret sauce of any message in marketing, is how do you help people understand where they're trying to go so much that you're the person who gave them that vision, and then you tell them that in your solution and what you do, you can get them to that place that they're so excited about faster. That's value. And in travel, this is so literal. It's funny. I don't know why it's so funny. I'm laughing so hard because it's so literal. Usually I'm figuratively speaking about this in other businesses, but in the travel industry, this is literally it. And the interesting part is that we're trying to transport people before they ever physically go anywhere. That is the measure of a great message in this travel industry, is being able to do this, to do the travel before that. Okay, it's too good. It's too good. Was that helpful? Was that helpful? A little round of applause was helpful. All right, good. I'm just I'm an egomaniac, megalomaniac too, so I just need it. Media, all right? This one's simpler. Media is how to take that message that you just crafted and all those things, and how do you put it in front of people to get them to stop? One, you've done your market side, which is great. But when you look at how to get the message out to them, there are so many different ways to do that, but it's broken how we talk to other humans. So the actual problem is less about the ads you buy, and how we actually talk to people needs to change. But you have to be a human behavioralist, all right, to get this. How many people have read this book? Don't. It's awful. It is the worst book. But Desmond Morris was a genius, and he was a zoologist, and he was writing about animals and said, hey, can you write a book about people? They're probably like animals in a lot of ways. And he created this thing, and he said, here are the 12 stages of intimacy. How people go from complete strangers to completely at one point, I have a wife, we've been married for 12 years. At some point, We weren't naked in front of each other. There was a progression path to get there, right? That's crude, but it's true. So here's the thing. They say that the first thing is eye to body. I see you, right? Eye to eye, you see me. Voice to voice, I go, hey, and you go, hey, okay, good, one person. Hand to hand, that's a handshake, unless you're a weirdo and you high five people, fine, that's cool, you hit my elbow. Arm to shoulder, arm to waist, that's a hug, right? So we're on the 6th step. How many first time meet you, hug me people are there out there? Yeah, sir, you're just being tolerated right now, okay? You've skipped 5 steps, sir. You skipped 5 of them. All right, just kidding. I won't pick on you. Mouth to mouth, talking about resuscitation, hand to head, hand to body. These are all scientific, by the way, mouth to body, hand to body, bow chicka wow wow. So we're at 12. And what I will tell you is that this is why this book stood out to me. I was like, oh my gosh. A lot of us are showing up in our marketing messages going, hey, my name is Marcus, let's go back to my place. That's how we do that. How many of those messages you see in the world? You don't know me. You didn't build my trust. We haven't had any. There is business intimacy that we have to pay attention to in marketing. And I'll tell you this, Desmond Morris said this, and this is a scientific fact. It's not funny at all. He said that if you can skip 1 through 7 and get away with it, 8 through 12 is assault. And what I mean by that is interesting is because when we show up in our business, and we start talking about our messaging, and we start thinking about everything that we're doing and how we're speaking to each other, many times it's skipping 1 through 7. And many times, unfortunately, it's 8 through 12. You also have to make it really easy for people to get in touch with you, all right? So take out your camera really quick. Oh yeah, this is why I'm telling you this. Everybody, who knew the QR code would have such a comeback? It is everywhere, but if you're not using it in your marketing, you are insane. Insane person, you're missing the biggest opportunity because they're relevant again. And what'd you get? What'd you get on the picture? LinkedIn. Who's LinkedIn? Marcus. Mine. You have to make it easier for people to connect. This could be anywhere, anything. But I'll tell you, when I'm at events like this and online, in this online audience, there's thousands and thousands of people out there, they're gonna do this on their screen, and I guarantee that I walk out of this place and there's like 100 requests. And I'll tell you, that's just smart marketing. Make it easier, remove the barrier for people to connect. That is unbelievably human. It's good. And by the way, if you wanna figure out how to do that, you go to the LinkedIn app, in that little search bar there, you click that little QR code, that'll give you yours, you can download and use it. Sound good? All right. So look, nothing changes. There's 3. The market, the message, the media. Our world changes all the time. Our world will change. Pandemics will come up. Things will happen in the world. Those 3 things don't change. But the one unique advantage of travel and the future of marketing is more people being human behavioralists. People that truly understand how that lens will affect everything that they do, the market, their message, and how they speak to people and show up where they're at. Cool? All right. So human. Don't forget it. Be one. Welcome to this stage. This is really exciting. We're going to do something really quick. So here's what's next. If you're in here right now, it's going to be 30-minute it's really quick, 30-minute sessions, and it's back-to-back. The first one we have is Marketing Trends You Can't Afford to Ignore. That's with Ollie Bilson, which is unbelievable. I can't wait for you to actually do that. The next one after that is going to be a panel. Ooh, this panel. This panel is unbelievable, made up of people that I truly admire. And as I've gotten to have these calls with them, because look, let's be honest, most panels are terrible. They just are. But they don't have me moderating them, I'll tell you that. And we do our prep. I had calls with each and every one of these people, and I will say to you right now, I am equally intrigued about their answers. It's so important because we're talking about actionable stuff. How many people got something in there they can use that I just went through? Just something, yeah. That's great. That's a measurement, right? Content that doesn't actually do that is just noise. Content has to give you something to go implement, and that's exactly what that session is going to be from 3 amazing people in the industry, seeing it in the world they've navigated. And then the last one we're going to close everything down with is my friend Ree Perez, who's going to talk about how these huge brands he's working with are building trust again. And he's going to show you exactly the format that he's doing, and he's going to be joining us from the Americas. But he is going to be up here and I'm going to be over there, and we're going to have a conversation. Now, here's what I want to remind everybody about. At the very beginning of the session, you'll have another opportunity to do this, but at the very beginning of the session, there was a QR code, which they're going to throw up again here in a second. You can take a picture of that QR code and ask questions. So we're not going to do mics in the audience or anything like that, but please, 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 if you have questions for any of us, myself, I'll be at the very end to wrap everything up, but after every session, you'll have an opportunity to ask a few questions and make sure that you get your questions answered. So that being said, I don't even know, have I ever introduced you? I mean, Ollie on every stage. So Oliver Bilson is a good friend of mine, clearly, right? I've just literally asked all my friends for favors to come here and do this. But Oliver Bilson was the first marketing person I learned from. In many cases, any marketers out there, he's probably right up there with all of the greats. Like there are modern day Ogilvies and modern day people who are super tapped into our industry and how humans work. There's nobody else like him, and I've had the privilege of traveling about 400,000 miles speaking with him over the last few years, and I just have the unbelievable pleasure of introducing him. So can you do me a favor and put your hands together and welcome Oliver Bilson to the stage? Come on.
All right. Thanks,
you go right there, I'll set you up.
All right, lovely. How's everybody doing? Right, I'm a little bit bummed out, so I'm going to need maybe a bit of energy. I just spent the past 2 weeks out in Portugal because me and my family are moving out there. And we put an offer on a house, and then it fell through when we got home. I got home day before yesterday, put an offer on a house, it's fallen through again. So feeling a bit crappy about that, but I'm happy to be here. And also super excited for you because, frankly, some of this is stuff that's had a profound impact on a lot of people's businesses over the past 12 months. And I'm going to kind of pull back the curtain for you and share some stuff that isn't necessarily that elementary. It's quite advanced, okay? So are you guys okay with things being a little bit more advanced than maybe normal, right? I assume so. So really my goal here is to as I mentioned, really just kind of give you the unvarnished truth around the tactics and strategies that are actually working. Because we, as a business, we spend over $1 million a month on YouTube ads, on paid ads, and also on Facebook ads as well. A cumulative total of about $3.5 million a month. And my clients, in the last 12 months alone, have generated over $120 million in new revenue from the stuff that I'm going to share with you here. So what I hope for you is that you'll come away with something. Some things, frankly, might go a little bit over your head, depending upon where you're at in your business right now. But I can guarantee there'll be something that you'll be able to come away with and actually put into action and go back into your business and do something with. So this is me right here. This is my family, Lindsay, Spence, and Sienna. Usually I'm based here in the UK, although most of my clients are pretty much international. I started my first business when I was 15 years old. I've never worked for anybody since. And I've started and grown and scaled up 5, 7, and 8-figure businesses of my own, obviously small businesses. And they've been in lots of different niches, from bricks and mortar, an international franchise network, consulting, marketing agency, and an online education business as well. And really, you know, my purpose as an individual is to empower people like you, whether you are working for somebody or you're the business owner, to be able to live life on your terms, have more freedom, profit, prosperity, whatever's important to you. And so I spend my time in all different areas of the world, speaking to lovely people like you about how to grow their business and sharing really what is working. And so, as I mentioned, this stuff that I'm going to be going through, I'm going to be going through quite quickly. We've got a small amount of time together, but I have put together a free gift for you so you can kind of get access to all of these things. This is the stuff that's really working now, because we're on the kind of the bleeding edge on the media buying side and also on the conversion side. And right in between those two things is this thing called attribution, which we're really into and geek out on as well. And so we really get to see the numbers and the actual data. So this isn't stuff that you'll probably find on a blog you might do in like 2 years from now. This is stuff that's actually working. So with that said, I think for most people, most business owners, they probably agree that it's been a challenging time over the past 18 months, really now. And what I'm here to tell you is, although some people have been struggling and sinking, there's many that have actually been prospering and profiting and actually experiencing their best year ever. That's being compounded by some of the things I'm going to be sharing here. So let's get into the good stuff. I'm going to start off talking about email marketing. Who is using email as a way to acquire, retain, and engage, build relationships with their customers, clients right now? Right? Most people. And I'm going to make an assumption that in order for you to do that, you're probably using some kind of email marketing tool, right? Yep. Like Infusionsoft, ActiveCampaign, Maropost, Klaviyo, you may even use MailChimp, Salesforce, whatever it might be. Well, as you probably know, a few months ago, Apple came out with its iOS 15 update. And for many people, this has now started to have quite a detrimental effect on the effectiveness of email marketing. So in order to kind of set the context for you, I just want to explain that the way that we as marketers actually look at the performance of our email marketing is looking at things like open rates, click-through rates, and ultimately conversions. But with the recent iOS update, it's actually blocking some of the tracking that is instilled in the email in a small little tiny code pixel that fires every time you open an email. And that's a really big problem because email deliverability, if your list, like you've heard probably the expression, the money is in the list, right? And it absolutely is, whether that is unconverted leads, people that have engaged with you, opted in, got some kind of like free gift from you, or maybe it's your customers. They're the most valuable people, right? And so I'm guessing as savvy marketers, as you are, or want to be savvy marketers, there are 3 key metrics when it comes to email marketing: recency, frequency, and monetary. And when you understand these 3 metrics, you're able to do amazing things with your database, and you can essentially, to use a John Lennon-ism, if that's a real thing, you can literally write yourself a swimming pool, right? If you need to make money today, you can actually send emails and actually get customers right away if you know exactly what you're doing. But this has kind of got in our way a little bit. And so what it means is our open rates are actually really inflated because Apple is blocking this pixel that's in there, and it's only going to get worse. The other thing that it's done for attribution is that it's actually giving people alias emails. So when you sign, if you're using Apple Mail, which about 70% of people do, you'll find that these alias email means now you can't actually attribute sales back to your email marketing efforts. So this is only going to get worse, and so there's a few things that I want to share with you when it comes to actually being able to take the action steps you need to stay ahead of the curve as this kind of compounds into the future. The first thing is not to use open rate as a metric. Instead, focus on click-through rate. Now, what that means is you're also going to have to be a little bit more creative in the ways you can actually get people to click and interact and engage with your emails, right? So maybe you use GIFs. Maybe you use images. Maybe you use clickable CSS buttons in your email. Ways in which that you can now get more accurate data and metrics to be able to know whether or not your list is engaged or it isn't. Just focus on CTR. The next is if you use, say, countdown timers to create scarcity or urgency, unfortunately, that is also going to go away as well. So if you embed countdown timers into your emails and it's an inline embed, that's also something that isn't going to be working like it used to. And so what I'm advising people to do is actually just follow up with people based on their last interaction so that you can create these sort of micro audiences of people that have clicked in the past 7 days, 30 days, 60 days, whatever it might be, and then follow up based upon their action or inaction with you. So the more people click, the more people go through. Follow up with those people more because now we're able to do that. And then overall, I'm going to share some things with you exactly what you can send and what you should be sending But you should be increasing your frequency. Most people are really, really scared to increase the amount of email they're actually sending. But one thing that most of people don't know is, of course, not everybody's reading your emails. I could send you an email every single day. It doesn't mean you're actually going to read it, right? As long as it's relevant content and something that's going to be valuable to them, which I'm going to share with you exactly what some of those content pieces might be, then you certainly want to do that. Now, this is something you might want to go back to your webmaster or your if you've got like a software developer or whoever it is in your business or automation manager, and actually get them to do. There are 3 key things with email marketing that I see everywhere that regardless of your size of business, people don't have. One is called a DMARC record. It's really easy to set up with your hosting. It's a simple line of code that you add to it that authenticates your email. And this isn't built in, by the way, to your email software that you use. You get it to show that you are a compliant sender. That's the first thing. The second is called a DKIM record. And a DKIM record is very similar to a DMARC record. It actually just shows that we, again, are an approved sender, that this is not spam, and it's going to increase the delivery of our emails. And the final one is called an SPF record. And all of these are for your primary sending domain. So if you send from your normal website domain, which you should be doing, you build what's called a reputation with that email, with that domain. And so it's really, really important that you have these 3 things in place for that sending domain so that you can deliver more email, you can get more eyeballs on what it is that you're trying to send with your emails, and in turn, you're obviously going to make more money in the process. I know this is a little bit geeky, but haven't lost anybody so far. Is everybody with me? Yeah? Great. Now, one of the ways that you can do this, which makes things super, super easy, is with a tool called Mail Genius. I'm going to be sharing all of my tools with you here. So you can just use, this is a free tool. You simply send an email to the email address that it gives you, and it comes back and it gives you a full report for your sending domain on what authentications, DMARC, DKIM, SPF, you do or do not have to make sure it's set up right. Really easy. Now, there's a few things for email list management that you need to know when it comes to actually sending email to different segments of your email list. And the first is, we break these down into 4 buckets. The first bucket is people that have actually opened your email in the past 15 days. Now, this is now moving towards more of that click-based measurement, the CTR-based measurement. But in the last 15 days, you want to send an email every single day, to your subscribers, okay? People that are on your email list that are actively interacting with your emails, send an email every day. The next is people that have opened in the past 16 to 30 days or clicked a link in the last 30 days. You want to send an email 5 times a week. And third, people that have opened in the last 31 to 45 days, you want to send an email 3 times a week. Just to kind of get a bit of a temperature check, who sends an email every day to their list? Anybody? Okay. How many people send an email once a week to their list? All right. And how many send an email like once a month? And who sends nothing? Okay. Well, what we want to do is we want to think of whatever system you're using, we've got these different segments. And we're basing it upon the recency that our subscribers are engaging with us so we can get maximum deliverability on an ongoing basis. And this is the kicker. This is the thing that most people are really surprised with. Don't email unengaged contacts that haven't engaged in the past 60 days. So if they haven't opened or clicked an email, we're going to exclude them and suppress them from any lists completely. This is going to give you the best opportunity, the best chance of being inboxed, and to make sure that you don't get blacklisted, that you don't have an issue with IP reputation or anything like that, because if you've got one domain and you're really proud of it, I own nextlevelbusiness.com. I paid quite a lot of money for that domain. I don't want to screw it up. So one thing that you can use to test if you're on a blacklist or if your sending domain has any problems with it is a tool called MX Toolbox. You just put your domain in and it will say, is my domain, and my email's only getting like 5% open, 10% open, 15% open. There might be an underlying reason why. All of you should have an email open rate of at least 25%. If you don't, chances are we're not segmenting hard enough, or there might be a problem with our domain. The next, again, that's a free tool. These are all free tools. The next is a tool called Postmaster Tools by Google. This gives you an ongoing perspective on your domain, IP reputation and your domain reputation as well, so that you know if you've kind of done anything wrong. If you're in the bad books and you're going into the promo tab on Gmail, then this is how we actually fix it and how we monitor it on an ongoing basis. Really easy to be able to get that. The third tool is called the Checker. It's now actually, if you go to this site, it actually will redirect you to a tool called Emailable. And what it allows you to do is get rid of all the crap that is probably in your list. All of the email addresses that are bouncing and that are not legit email addresses. It will scrub the whole list for you, and it's the most it's the cheapest that you can possibly use in terms of credits compared to a lot of other things. So you could put a list of 500,000, 1 million people into this. It's not going to cost you a lot in order to scrub the whole list. So one of the questions that I get asked all the time is like when we're looking to actually increase email frequency, and people are like, oh my God, I've got to email now in these 4 buckets, and that means me really increasing the frequency in which I'm emailing is obviously, Ollie, what do I actually send? And the other one is, well, maybe what we should do is actually prime people that we've already got and kind of like build them up to getting more email and actually getting more people back on our list. And so one of the best ways to do that, and I'm going to give you all of these emails, but to actually use an email re-engagement campaign for everybody in the past that hasn't, you might not have done a good job, right? You might not have done a good job. We've all been there. You may be in that situation now. We can send a series of these emails to actually just reconnect and get more people to open and then get them back into that new bucket of the most recently engaged people. So we can send some content to them. We can say, we're reaching out. We noticed that you haven't opened or clicked an email for a while. We wanted to make sure you're okay, and so on and so on. And then eventually it's like, should we actually take you off our list? Should we actually unsubscribe you? And the reason why we're doing all of this, especially with email, is because one thing we all know with email and marketing in general is the fortune is in the follow-up, right? And what we want to do is actually put together a structure, we call it the content flywheel, whereby we will be on a regular basis knowing what our business is sending every single day to our list. Because people will only buy when they're ready, not when you want to make a sale, right? And so the key distinction here is to understand that leads on your list, they don't become customers, prospects do. It's the case that what we want to do is move people down that lead to customer journey, right? And prospects sit right in the middle of them. They have the highest lead score. And so they will buy from you, they will take action, they'll click your email, they'll call you, they'll take the step that you want when they're ready, and they'll ultimately do it when they are in a position where they know, like, and trust you, and you have authority, even celebrity or expert status in the eyes of your customers. And that's how we do it. We build that momentum by actually having a very clear email schedule, communication plan of what day, what angle, which is the type of message that we're sending, and ultimately what we're trying to do. And actually varying these different things up has a huge effect on, if we're just telling people, hey, go here and read this blog every day, you guys will run out of blog articles pretty quick, right? There's lots of things that you can actually send to your list. We have a series of tools I'm going to give you, a content planning template, a daily planning template, does all the UTM parameters for you and everything. I'm going to give it you. It's in a Google Sheet, so you can get it and you can use it in your own business. And then a results template for you to use as well. So I'm going to give you all of that, so I'm going to skip through those. But some of the other things that you can actually send to your list, which is actually valuable and content people actually want to engage with, talk about people's problems, talk about what's going on in the world, talk about their desires, commandments, beliefs, principles, success stories, case studies even, normal, like everyday, more personal stories, maybe obviously offers and discounts, but not always, and things that are news and noteworthy that you've curated together and you're actually sending them on an ongoing basis. They will thank you for it. And if you're not quite sure still what to actually create, then one way to do it is actually just send people to a Google form and use this email which just says, hey, I want to create some cool content for you, but I'm not quite sure what. I would love your help. If you can tell me what you'd like, I can help serve you better, right? Actually ask people what they want and then give it to them. I know it sounds amazing, but that's how it works. And the other thing that you can do is you don't always have to be promoting your own content. I don't know if you know this, but did you know that you can serve a pop-up on somebody else's website anywhere on the internet? Does anybody know that? So if I wanted to send you, what's your name? Tatiana. What? Tatiana. I love that. Okay. If I wanted to send Tatiana to the New York Times website, when she clicks my link, my ad and my pop-up can come on the New York Times website at any time I want it on a delay. As long as I'm controlling the link, then I can have a pop-up appear. So it kind of looks like this. So this is the digital marketer website, and this is me sending somebody a link. Now, I don't own Digital Marketer, but if I want to be positioning my offer on the Digital Marketer website, I don't have to pay for ad space. I've just got to control the link. Now, you can imagine if you do that for your business, it really anchors your brand when you can say, hey, here's a really cool article on XYZ website. You send them there, and then in 15, 20 seconds from going there, a pop-up comes up to claim an offer of yours. That's how we do it. Is that pretty cool? Yes or no? Yeah, I'm forcing you now. All right. So, couple of things in terms of actual, like, making sure that you're not doing things that are going to put you in the spam folder, regardless of whatever else you're doing. These are a couple of free tools. You can put your subject line into this email testing tool, send check it, and what it will do, it will look at it and say, this is likely to get inboxed, right? This is likely to actually, it's going to give you a score out of 10. It's going to say, this is an 8 or a 9 out of 10. It's a good subject line. You're going to get inboxed. The next one is called mailtester.com, and what this does, it scans your email for anything that could potentially be a problem in terms of like trigger words, anything that's going to put you in a spam trap or anything like that. Mailtester.com. I'm going to give you all of this stuff. And then if you have an email list already, like many of you have told me that you do, you can use this thing called Voila Norbert. And what Voila Norbert does, it is an email enrichment tool, so that if you're on my list and I want my sales development rep to connect with you on LinkedIn, Twitter, or whatever, it will take and grab all the social profiles of the people from an email list, and it will put them together. And then I can have my rep then connect with those people on social media, or I could do it based upon lead score. So if somebody reached a certain lead score, I could then add them automatically into Voila Norbert, and off we go. We can now get social profiles on those people, and we can start interacting with them, DMing them, following them, connecting with them based upon that action with our business. All right, here's a really cool one. Again, this is about trends. This is stuff that's working now. I don't know if you guys do. Does anybody do identity resolution in their business right now? God, this is I mean, this is gold for you guys. So identity resolution means that, typically means that our website visitors, you would agree, who come to your website today, they're anonymous to you. You don't know who they are, right? You've got no idea who your website visitors are. Who would like to be able to get people's emails from website visitors without having to get them to opt in for something? Okay. So with identity resolution, we can capture emails, the visitors' emails, and then actually follow up with personalized outreach and for it to be compliant without crossing the spam can trap, okay, or GDPR. And that's with a tool called getemails.com. And getemails.com, there's a small piece of JavaScript, if you wanted to get technical, that goes onto the website of visitors that have already previously opted in and allows you to now capture their email addresses to actually follow up. So what's your name, madam? So you'll have to shout at what she say. Me, you. Ah, me and you. Perfect. Okay, so you come to my website today, and I can get your Gmail address, that you've got your personal Gmail address, into my CRM system, into Salesforce, into Close, whatever, and I can send you an email that says, hey, you, I see you stopped by our website today. Did you find what you were looking for, ? Right? And this is like killer. I did tell you I was going to give you some bleeding edge stuff, so I can see the look on some of your faces, which is nice. It's pretty sexy stuff. All right, cool. Everybody okay so far? Yeah? Okay, good. So we're going to move on to talking about retargeting. And technically what I just shared with you is actually email retargeting with identity resolution, just so that you know, if these kind of things like phrases come into you, months go by, but like, oh, Ollie talked to me about that. Okay, cool. So what I want to talk to you about here is really where retargeting is going, given the fact of the iOS 14 stuff and the iOS 15 stuff, and to make sure that you're building retargeting audiences that allow you to really be laser focused on them. So these are mainly for Facebook ads, but they also work for YouTube ads as well. So for website visitors, these are all of my retargeting audiences that I build. So inside of the platform, these are all my retargeting audiences. Audience number 1, recent website visitors. Everybody that's visited our website in the last 30 days. And if you wonder, just to take a step back, what we mean by retargeting is you come to our website today, we put a tracking pixel on you, we know who you are, you're cookied, and then we can serve ads to you all around the internet. Whether that's on pre-roll ads with YouTube or Facebook ads. We can serve them on third-party networks as well. But these are my retargeting pools, what we call them. The first is recent visitors, 0 to 30 days. The next is all visitors, 0 to 180 days. Multiple visits, so we can actually build a retargeting audience off people that have visited our website multiple times, so that then we can just target those with ultra-specific ads. Time spent on page, so this is for like deep browsing. People that have spent 8 minutes or more on your website, you can retarget those people individually with different banners, different ads. The next is people that are in consideration mode and have spent more than 3 minutes on your website. So by breaking these retargeting audiences out, it gives us huge power in creating an awareness match to where they actually are in our marketing funnel, okay? So this also, and I'm going to share with you, this is not just for unconverted leads, this is also for customers, which I'll share with you in a second. So the next are video views. So if you guys do video view conversion ads on Facebook, you can build audiences off how many views that are on a particular video. You can do this off your Facebook page as well. So if you do organic content and it's not paid, and you post videos, You can build audiences of people that have watched your video for 3 seconds, 50% of a video, 75% of a video, 95% of a video. And if you're doing some really, really cool stuff, what you can do is actually bring people through a video view funnel. So people that have watched 50% automatically are excluded from watching that video again, and then you serve them another video, and then another video, and another video. So we can move people through their levels of awareness based upon their consumption and engagement with us. This doesn't just apply to videos or website visitors. It also applies to people that have actually engaged with us in some way in the past. So whether they are page engagers or they've clicked an ad in the past, maybe they're page followers. So you've got an Instagram following, you can target just those Instagram followers, or Facebook followers, you can just target those fans as well. And the other thing that you're able to do, if you've got that database of emails that we were talking about, of course, we can give Facebook or YouTube our whole list, our database. It will then match users with those, and we can sync that on an ongoing basis. So when somebody becomes a customer, it will dynamically sync that information with the advertising platform, and then we can start serving ads to them. And you can do this, as I mentioned, with Facebook or Google to build these audiences. The next thing is, and this is a huge one where most people miss out, the most valuable list that you have are your customers. And so you should be building custom audiences to serve ads to your customers, all purchased in the last 180 days. People that have just purchased, right? They've just booked a holiday or they've made a deposit, people in the last 0 to 10 days. Reactivation, people that are falling away a little bit in the last 60 to 180 days. And then everybody that's a buyer that's on your email list. These are all separate retargeting audiences that you should have. Now, the tool that we use to build all of these is called Magix. Out of interest, did anybody use Magix? Okay, so, well, you're in for an absolute treat. So this tool will build all of these for you for Facebook and also YouTube and also Google AdWords as well. Very, very easy to use. You plug it in and off you go to the races. All right, 2 final things that I've got to share with you. We talked a lot about email, and email does drive a lot of behavior. But one of the things that we still use is actually taking people from an online experience offline and then bringing them back online again with direct mail. So the question is always, well, Ollie, first of all, that sounds expensive. Well, obviously, you're going to do this based upon the lead score of the people as you're moving them through. But if you're giving some kind of lead magnet away, whether it's a brochure, a downloadable prospectus, whatever it might be, always do a 2-step process of collecting more information. On the first step, ask for first name and email and phone number, or first name and email with a qualifying question. And then on the second step, actually just ask for more information and be okay with wanting then to send something in the mail to them on an ongoing basis. And this works amazingly well. Also, if you have some kind of newsletter, where you can send this to your unconverted leads that have a high lead score in those different segments that we talked about earlier, or people that are coming through that have got a specific profile. You can even do this for people's birthdays or anniversaries or whatever it might be. We do this, and the next question I obviously have a lot is, well, who's going to write the email content? What should we include? How does it work? And with this, the beauty is those emails that I was talking to you about earlier in terms of the content, we actually just repurpose our emails that we send to our email list and put them in print form. And that creates our customer newsletter and unconverted newsletter. All right, cool. So last thing that I want to share with you is around YouTube ads. Now, Facebook has absolutely had a bit of an arse kicking of late, and CPM costs have increased, and there's been some weird things happening with targeting and audiences and attribution and data being fed back for all the stuff that's going on. What we've seen more people doing now is moving over to the YouTube platform, which is, of course, Google AdWords. And where most people, does anybody use YouTube ads right now? A few people? OK, cool. Well, for those of you that don't, it can probably seem a little bit like it's a brand new platform. You're not quite sure if you're going to get a return on investment. You're not quite sure what to do. Well, what if I told you that all you had to do was identify your customers' best videos or your customers' channels and only target those videos or those channels so that when people are watching those videos or on that channel, your ad will appear in front of all of those videos. Would that be cool? Yeah? Yes, sir. All right. So you can do this relatively easily. There's two tools that you can use to do it with. One is called TubeSift, and the other one is called Adzula. I put this here because that's what I would recommend. And what TubeSift will allow you to do is find your competitors, and say you've got competitors that are out here, go and find your YouTube channel, go and find the videos that they have the most views on, and you can create an ad that will play in front of those videos. We do this with amazing success, and you can create creative content that is specifically against or for the message that they're actually watching, because you know they're actually watching those videos, right? And so TubeSift will absolutely be able to identify those for you. And it is literally the easiest and most simple thing that you can do as a business today to get laser-targeted attention, awareness on your brand, and ultimately get people that are probably the buyers of other people on your email list and get them to buy from you. Now, the question, obviously, I get all the time is, well, now you've told us exactly who to target, what video should I create? What's the content? Well, there's a tool called VidTal, completely free, that allows us to search every single YouTube ad that is running right now. Not only can we see it, we also get a transcript of the exact video that they're using, and we can see how many views it's had and how much ad spend it's had. So if you see an ad from a competitor on there and it's had 1 million views and they've spent £175,000 on it, there's probably a good chance that that ad works pretty well. So you can model and mirror that for your own success and use it as your personal swipe file for creating your own ads that just, frankly, it's just the easiest thing to do. Identify the exact videos and the channels that you want to target. Look on VidTal for ads that resonate with you and are obviously seeing some success, and model them as well. And by the way, the production value of these ads don't have to be fantastic. Our best ads are actually shot on an iPhone. Kind of selfie style, there's no kind of cuts or anything like that, just talking very specifically to the problem. I've got an ad that's running right now that literally just says, if you would like to make £6,000 a month by starting and growing your own vehicle remapping business, which is a franchise that we sell, in the next 45 seconds, I'm going to show you exactly how everyday people just like you are making an above-average income by doing this exact service at home. And then I explain about it, and I tell them to go and opt in to actually go and watch a longer video about it. And then they go and apply for the franchise. That exact ad format I found on VidTal, and I'm targeting all of the people that are like the people passionate about cars, obviously, because I can find them through TubeSift, which I showed you about before. And that's the thing, like, something's gone a little bit weird here, but that's the thing, like, a lot of these tactics, what I want you to try and do is try and pick one of them, whether it's the YouTube ad strategy, whether it's something else, and make sure you go away and implement it. If you'd like my help, I'm based here in the UK most of the time, and I want to give all of you guys a completely free gift. I'm actually going to give you one of our actual courses we sell for $2,000. And I'm also going to give you these slides and the templates and the blueprints and everything as well. And I'm also going to give you a magazine that goes with that as well, just sharing case studies of how people have applied these tools as well. So you can go to nextlevelgrowthcall.com. You just take a picture of the slide if you want and go to it later. And that will give you access to either speaking to us about how we can help you with your marketing and scaling things up, and also give you access to this stuff as well. Was that good for you guys? Yeah? All good. Thank you ever so much. I'll be at the back if you guys got any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Also, the funniest thing that you do, by the way, is when he's giving new tools out, he goes, well, this is a sexy little piece of whatever right here, and this little cute thing, well, it's your lucky day. I'll tell you, don't leave yet. I'll tell you what. Actually, can you come out here real quick? Just come here. Just come stand here with me. This is odd. My brain, every time that you talk, explodes. And is anybody else feeling that right now? That is called overload. If you're sitting in there going, okay, where do I start? What do I do? Every single tool. How many tools did you mention?
I think it was like 20.
20. Every single one of those, when I talk about the future of marketing, the best marketers on the planet, the people that come to people like Ali, they were literally asking these questions. What do I use for this? How do I do this? Email's still the workhorse of small business. And I always sit around and the first person I call you is you. You're a Rolodex of knowledge. And I just want to say this, like, I cannot wait to figure out who's going to go back and watch that again to try and pick up every single thing. But I have a question for you. If they had to leave right now, which don't, because we got a sick, don't do that. But if they had to leave right now and go do one thing, what's the biggest thing that they could go do?
I think you've got to get your shit together with the email marketing. Because it's really going to be the modality that everybody's been winning with for years is slowly getting harder to win at, right? So taking the steps with the email foundations, the DKIM, the DMARC, and the SPF record, and sending in those different segments, at least just being cognizant and aware of what they are, is going to allow you, not just from today, but probably for the next few years until something else changes, to really win in the inbox.
Amazing. One more huge round of applause for Ali Bilson. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you. Okay, we're going to keep rolling, which is exciting. I wanted to hear from peers because, one, I get to come in and float in and do these things, and I leave, and it's like, yay. But rarely do we get to hear from people that are truly walking and doing what you're doing and feeling what you're feeling and empathetically can share in the experience of how you felt this last 18 months in the travel industry. Like, I love bringing people in like Ali who can make your brain hurt because that's like a 500-level course at university is what you just got put through. And I'll tell you, that's where people are playing. They're swinging way up there. Like the big players, the people that are actually winning right now and coming back, and they know how to like come up with a marketing strategy, they're playing up there and they're using all those tools. So, whoo! But here's the last one. I think that the next panel discussion is probably going to be the thing that we all remember. Because as I was going through the prep for this call, I was realizing that I was asking questions and figuring out what's going on and what people's experience has been. Oh, it made me feel like I was a part of it. And I just got curious. Anybody else really curious? Just super curious. Like you could ask people a million questions, yeah? Even if they're really annoyed and they don't get, there's no social cue for you to stop, right? That's me. I love that because I like going deeper and learning. So this next panel is going to be your peers. We're going to talk about what they've been through, what's been working, the potholes, the big mistakes, the failures that they made, and then we're going to talk about the predictions of what they see and what they would double down on for 2022. And without further ado, can you please help me welcome our panel with a huge round of applause? Please welcome our panel with a mediocre round of applause. All right, that's good, yeah. Have a seat. Very much. All right, well, we are far apart. And these pillows, you could throw it on the ground. Okay. You could throw it out here in the audience. I'm gonna need that back, okay? Yeah, we'll leave it over there. So that's not a step, athletic, all right, okay. Hello, welcome.
Hi.
I'm so excited. Thank you so much for doing this. Every single person on the stage voluntarily did this. Well, actually, how much did I pay you? What was it? Okay, wait, all right. But this is going to be a discussion. It's very candid. But before we do that, I do want to go for the room who doesn't know you. I know we had that slide up there. Can we actually go around? Maybe we'll start on the end. And let's talk about, one, who you are, but let's talk about this. What's your area of expertise? Because I think that's a really good place to start for people, because other people out here might go, oh, they do what I do, and they want to talk to you after this. So go ahead, Florian.
Right, great, thank you. Thank you very much, Marcus. Thank you, everyone, for being here. It's really good to see that we're all finally together back. It's been a tough period of time, but yeah, my name is Florian de Villiers, and as you could see on the screens, I work for McKinsey Girl, which is a global tourism marketing agency, and represent the Caribbean Tourism Organization chapter in the UK and Europe. So what do we do is that it sounds simple, right? We have a lot of destinations in the Caribbean, over 30 destinations, French-speaking, Spanish-speaking, English-speaking, and also Dutch-speaking. That's what we don't really know all the time. But my mission with my colleague is to market the Caribbean in the UK and European markets, and also the emerging markets, and bring business to the Caribbean, right? So this is what we do as a business development manager. We have a membership organization of not only composed of national tourist boards, so the Caribbean destinations, but we also have tour operators. We also have the big players, the airlines, BA, Virgin Atlantic. If you were at the party last night, you were sure of what's happening. You see that they've launching new routes, etc. So these are the things that we are doing with them, developing the business and lead more business to the Caribbean.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. All right. The only paid speaker we have. It's really awkward.
You're funny, Marcus. But hi, everyone. I'm Jamie, the Avatar, and I'm the founder of 2219 Media. And basically, we do marketing and brand strategy for travel and lifestyle brands. A lot of our clients are mainly destinations, tour operators, and businesses looking to come into the travel and tourism agencies. So we've worked for like insurance companies, financial services, so we work with brands who are, interested in the travel industry and see it as another vertical for their business. I've worked a lot with Florian over in the Caribbean. We were colleagues back in the day.
We were.
And that's a little synopsis on Jamie Lee.
Amazing, Jamie. Thank you. Martin.
My name is Martin Johnson. I'm the co-founder and director of Latin Routes and Polar Routes. I guess I'm the tour operator. I'm the seller of holidays and travel. We do marketing to sell holidays, essentially, but Latin Routes is a specialist in truly individual holidays to Latin America, and Polar Routes is a specialist in expedition cruising to Antarctica and the Arctic and the polar regions and beyond.
Do people want to go to Antarctica? Is that a thing?
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a big part of my business.
Okay, whoa, my bad. Sorry. Anybody in here want to go to Antarctica? Yeah. Look at Martin, go.
Right.
All right. Okay.
We're done.
And a wrap. No, thank you so much. Every single person up here has not only a specialization, something that you can relate with, but one of the things that I wanted to start out with, and I want to actually hear from all of you on it, and then we can kind of popcorn around with some questions, but I want to know, the pandemic is such a forcing function for a lot of things. One of it is survival. Mm-hmm. And so I want to know how you individually, from where you sat during these last 18 months, how are you here looking so good? Okay? How are you not falling apart like the rest of us? What is it about you that made you impervious, beyond anything that we could ever believe? No, I'm just kidding. How did you survive? How did this happen? Let's start with you, Martin. We'll go that way.
Resilience, dogged determination. I don't know what it is. I mean, who would have thought 20 months ago where we would be right now? And I think anyone in this room, anyone watching that has a travel business and still has a travel business, regardless of how much smaller it was compared to where it was, just congratulations and well done. Because it has been a torrid time over the last 20 months. But dogged determination, I think, just to make it through. It unfolded so quickly for us, as it did for everyone probably sat in this room. We were caught in the headlights perhaps for the first month or two, worked out what we were doing, how we were going to get through, and just made sure that we got to where we are now. But yeah, it's been a tough time. Thanks for saying I look so good, because I used to have hair before the pandemic, and now.
How long have you been using that joke? Seriously.
A long time. Yeah.
Like these gray hairs were. All right. Same question. Survival mode.
Bottles of wine to start with. But I definitely have to say, a word that we've heard so much in the last probably 18 to 20 months, but it was all around pivoting and looking for those opportunities within the marketplace, that, where were those gaps in the marketplace that you can go into, were definitely kind of key for me in terms of being able to be here today and seated here and happy to be here, definitely, and to be in this room with all these other marketers and travel industry professionals. So my key would be pivoting and looking for fresh new opportunities in the marketplace.
Say thank you.
Excellent. Well, I will take the words of Martin Gemili and said pivoting, resilience, and also digitization. That's what kept us aware. You know, we wanted to, throughout the pandemic, stay top of mind as a Caribbean destination. We wanted really that the people, whenever we come out of it, they would think Caribbean. So I would like to know who would like to go to the Caribbean. Please raise your hands. Right, so this is what keeps us going, right?
Yeah.
We sell dreams.
I think more people wanted to go to Antarctica.
Oh, that's right, we can
They were
share.
actually the same
We
people,
can
which is
share.
weird.
And that's really good because actually we said that we've got the digitization things. So we've launched, you know, these virtual events, etc. But what Martin is saying as well is that we've also developed collaboration. Collaboration has been so crucial last year because we're a membership organization. We deal with so many companies, over 65 in one membership company. So it's the fact that we can work together better even if we are not physically together. So we continue to create enthusiasm for the Caribbean, for the destinations, and I think that's what kept us going. We turned the data and insight into actions. We created digital. So I think the main thing is that we went from traditional marketing and we pivoted, as Martin said, to digital trends and marketing. So I think that's what kept us going.
You know, I feel like all of us have had to kind of reinvent ourselves a little bit, right? We've had to think about it, and that is interesting. You don't know how cold it is until you're freezing, right? You don't know what starvation feels like until you don't have any food. I think that it's interesting what births out of that. And so what I want to know is, what are the innovative things that you've done? Because yes, you've survived. Clearly, we're all up here. What have you done? And let's start with you, actually, Florian, because you talked about a membership part of it.
Yes.
And I remember our pre-conversation, you had a lot to say about community. Tell me about some of those innovative things that came out of keeping people together and connected.
Sure. So first of all, we started the company 15 days before lockdown, right? So it was a good...
Wait, for people that didn't hear that in the back, they started it 15 days before the pandemic. Great timing. Go ahead.
I'm surprised I still have my hair, but I don't think it will last any longer, Martin. But so basically what we did is that because of the membership and thanks to the membership of 65 members, we were able to have different insights. So people were like coming to us and say, oh, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? So actually we said, oh, instead of us, Carl and myself, my colleague, thinking of it from the two of us, we said, why don't we bring the community together? So what we did is that we, I think from the 1st of March, we started to have weekly calls with our members. Every Monday or Tuesdays, whatever the ability was, we used to meet with them at 3 p.m. and used to discuss together what's happening with you, what are the things that you'd like us to do, what is missing at the moment that you feel like we could support you better. And I think that sensation of community has also helped us to develop this partnership. So we strengthened the current partnership we had, and we also created new collaborations with tour operators, airlines that were not working with us at the beginning and came on board afterwards because they were part of this Caribbean family. That's how we like to call it.
You know, it's really interesting that some of the things we're saying are the most innovative are like so basic, but we miss it. It's like human, be more human. Okay, community, like the stuff that we are starving for. And if you actually think about people in the marketplace, when I target and I come up with messaging, I'm actually talking to an isolated and alone population. And so tell me how in that digital space, did you use a certain, this would be a real quick question, I want to get over here, but what platform did you use to build your community digitally?
So in terms of membership?
Yeah.
Very simple. We used Zoom at the beginning to bring everyone together. And I think, between January and March, it was an increase of 85% of usage of Zoom. I think I didn't know what it was by the 1st of February, didn't know how to use it. And then we all came together, created surveys, created benchmark ideas. So instead of like going on our own, no, the people of the members had ideas of what the other competitors were doing, but actually the competitors became allies as well. And they were part of this, technical digital platforms that we were using. So we really focused on the website, of course, where we reshaped completely the content. So the content marketing was completely shifted from informative to keeping people aware of what's happening on a dynamic point of view, because the information was changing every single day.
Right.
So I think, it was keeping them informed from the social media point of view, but also from the website point of view.
Ah, so simple, right? So
simple,
simple.
yeah.
How many people are like, I'm going to go do a Zoom call with my people? Okay, great. Jamie Lee, so this is interesting to me because I feel like, one, the reason why I follow you and I really love what you do is you're so innovative and you pay attention, you got a pulse on stuff. So did you catch this early and start doing things? And what were like the specific innovative pieces that you implemented?
I like the word innovation because I view innovation. I don't like to I like the physical. I like you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just add it to make it better. You know, you just need to add things to make it better. So that's the approach that I take to things a lot of the times. And I think I probably was a little bit ahead of the curves in terms of digital, and I think key there was building a social online brand and being very strategic with my personal brand and being out into the marketplace. So then when COVID did happen, it was pretty easy, after about 2 weeks of crying and depression, it was pretty easy for me to then pivot into, okay, what's that next thing? Where should I go next? Because I was already in that world. So that was definitely a benefit, I think, there.
Yeah. So talk about the personal brand piece. How many people out here are actually using their personal brand to drive business out here? Yeah. I feel like that was a big shift for people before because we all knew, brand, business, the brand. But the personal brand is something that people rarely ever invest in. What are some of the things that you strategically did to get the brand out there and to build that for yourself?
I think pretty early out when I decided I wanted to be an entrepreneur, it was I want to be, to stand out as in key, it was to stand out as a knowledge leader within my industry. So for me, it was writing a lot of content-led pieces around certain areas and certain topics that I was kind of passionate about. Starting to speak at different conferences totally for free, going on to different panels and conferences.
So she says. I'm telling you, I got an invoice.
At first. Going to different conferences and panels and networking was paramount. Knowing which organizations and associations within the travel industry that you should be a part of as well is really, really important, I think.
So I don't think that hybrid, like these virtual, because think about it, everybody look back there, see those 3 blinking green lights back there? That goes out to thousands and thousands of people. We're here physically, we love it. Woo, let's make them jealous. Hey, okay, we're here. Everybody online, you missed out.
See you next year.
But this is now permanently going to be here. So how are you, with the personal brand and leveraging those things that you're just talking about, knowing that this isn't kind of going to go away, the things we're learning, the community, how does that keep going into this new normal?
Great question. I think it will continue. I think hybrid is here to stay. For me, I think your friend that was here previously, Tim, I think it was, that did the presentation, he talked about email marketing. And I think there's so much power there in email marketing and staying connected to your community and keeping them engaged and aware of what you're doing and what's happening is really going to be crucial in that whole hybrid working environment, because that's how you kind of convert them from just looking and seeing you on stage to actually being a client. So I think that's going to be key. So that email marketing piece is really, really crucial.
How are you networking in a digital space? How did you network and connect with people during this time?
LinkedIn. 100%.
I'm on the board at LinkedIn. I love it.
That's why I said it 3 times.
Yeah, I do. I love it. Thank you.
So LinkedIn is really really crucial. I think a lot of the times people are scared to, reach out to people on LinkedIn. Like you might see a, director of a company or a marketing director, but it's really being strategic with the individuals that you want to connect with, finding them, crafting that introductory email, really crafting it, and not always approaching them with a straight-on sales approach. It's like, how can I support you? I think it's always the better approach there, and reaching out and connecting with them there. And then you convert it to a live event. So, you know, for example, and some things I do this, like when you're traveling for conferences and stuff like that, you can research the delegates list. So you research the delegates list. Who's going to be at this conference? We were at the ITT conference recently.
You targeted
together.
me. You did.
You know, we research that delegates list. You see who's there, the ones that you're not connected to. You go onto LinkedIn, you find them, you send them a lovely note. You said, I'm going to be at the ITT conference. I'd love to catch up with you. I follow you on social media. And there already, you have that, you've started that conversation already. So when you meet that person at the ship on the day, and it's very, very unlikely that they're going to say no or they're not going to respond. Because if they've invested to come, they want to meet people and they want to connect to people. So I think that really is how you kind of convert over.
That's fantastic. Rule of thumb, if you're going to do networking online, be like you are in real life. Online. That'll help everybody in here.
100% key, authenticity.
Yes, absolutely. Martin, you've been patiently waiting to tell us all about your innovation, secretly trying to count every single person who raised their hand about Antarctica. So now that you've had time, this is an amazing answer. So tell us.
I think the biggest thing we did during the pandemic from a marketing perspective is, first of all, Ollie alluded to it earlier, we actually asked our database, what do they want to hear? Because especially in the early days of the pandemic, travel was off the cards. There's no point in sending people emails with offers for travel. They're not booking, they're not going anywhere. So we asked our audience, what do they want to hear? What do they want to hear about? And for us, it was stories about how they could perhaps bring Latin America to home. It was things like perhaps stories from our previous travels, things to look forward to one day. This is back when the pandemic began. But that was a really useful insight. And what we then also did with our marketing is I think we kind of lowered our brand a little bit and brought through more of the personality, which I think probably comes into a little bit about what we've been talking about here as well. So it became about, here's a recipe you can follow at home. Here's a story from one of our consultants that's traveled to where you're thinking of going to. Here's an interview with one of our guys that's what they're doing, and bringing through that personality is something we did during the pandemic, and it's something we will now continue to do forevermore.
That was what I was going to ask. It's like I hear all these things that we're doing, but sometimes what happens is I find this in all my businesses. Like we just stop doing stuff that works.
So true.
Does anybody else do that? You're just like, didn't that work? It's like, yeah, no, we constantly innovated our way out of effectiveness. And what is interesting is like, I wanted to know, like, are you going to continue? What are you taking with you out of that you just explained?
Yeah, I think during the pandemic, when we reviewed everything from top to bottom in the business, so all of our marketing, we reviewed all of our business practices, our systems were rubbish, we needed new ones. And I think we thought if we're going to have to sit here for, well, no one knew it was 20 months, but if we're going to have to sit here for 4 to 6 months, then we're going to really make sure the business is in great shape to come out of it as quick as possible. And so we really strategically reviewed everything, and marketing was a big part of that. In terms of what we're going to keep moving forwards, we've reorganized the business. We've got rid of anything that didn't work. It's so rare you can have a top-down, does this actually work? No, it doesn't. Get rid of it. And we were pretty brutal about it. And I would recommend anyone in this room, particularly because I think people have dealt with the pandemic in different ways. If you have just been in survival mode, have I got enough pennies to make it to the end of the month, the week, and you haven't done any of that, now is the time to do it, especially as things are ramping back up again. Look at everything you're doing from top to bottom and does it work, and get rid of stuff that doesn't work. That's the best thing we did during the pandemic, and that's the legacy that will carry on, hopefully now.
I love it.
Forwards.
Round of applause, how amazing this stuff is. I mean, I'm so, now let's talk about your failures, okay? I'm just kidding. So I want to transition to that, because as much as I want to focus on what worked, and I think all of those things are really great tactics, I want to know what didn't. Because usually if we hear failures, we can avoid them. Like if I have friends and I say, hey, this road has potholes, don't go down it, that's actually helpful, even though most of them still go for some reason. But I want to hear the failure that you, just one failure. We'll start with Martin because he's already warmed up, all right? So failure that was a big learning moment, because I actually learned nothing in success. Just so you guys know, success is a terrible teacher for me. I have to fail all the time. So tell me something that was a significant failure.
Listening to noise and stuff that's not relevant to your business. So we actually, during the pandemic, have launched a third brand called Travel Routes, which is essentially taking our concept of what we do in Latin routes and taking it to other parts of the world. So we're doing it now in Asia, in Africa, and North America, and Canada. So we've expanded. When we first decided to do that, which is something that's been in the pipeline for a while, but we brought it right forwards, obviously, in the pandemic. It's a good time. We had people with time on their hands. But when we first started it, and things got going a little bit, we started started to sort of listen to noise. So in the UK back last year, when some of the green list or the amber list came around, all of a sudden Maldives became super popular, beach holidays. And we thought, right, everyone's going on beach holidays, let's go after beach holidays. We didn't know what we were doing in beach holidays. We had no idea what we were doing. We didn't know about the Maldives. We didn't know about the resorts. And so we spectacularly failed at it. And then we went, hang on a second. Our specialism is truly individual holidays. It is tailor-made. It is people seeing a destination properly. That is what we're good at, and that's what we need to stick to.
Yeah, niching. Niching is incredible.
Yeah.
Do you guys say niche or niche? Do you say
Niche.
Niche. Niche? Yeah. It's sexier that way. Anybody say niche out there? Stop it. Jamie Lee, same thing.
Ooh,
I would love to
failure.
know the failure. Yeah, and it's what you learned in the pandemic too. Just something that might have been.
Yeah, early out in this entrepreneurial game, I kind of refocused my eye from looking at failures as like, I look at them as lessons. So I would say the lesson, I guess, I learned was that you can pivot, but you don't have to lose the vision. I think, in the midst of everything, everybody was like, pivot, look for other things to do, and you're running this way and the next way, and you're trying to like figure out the whole everything. But you can pivot without necessarily losing your kind of initial vision and your purpose of what you kind of set out to do and what you want to become. Yeah.
It's really good.
I think it's like the difference between pivoting and changing. Pivoting is taking what you're doing and pivoting what you're doing.
Spot on.
If you change what you're doing,
Completely throw out the other one.
that's
Brand new? Yeah, that sounds terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true.
I think on our side, it was mostly on the mobilization of resources, because we represent over 65 members, and it's 2 people doing the job, and it's public sector, private sector. We've got different cultures in the membership, and Jamie Lee loves it because she used to work with us as well, so she knows what we're talking about. And I think the reality is that from a human resource point of view, you have to ensure that you manage your workload properly, especially when you're working from home. You don't really have any boundaries, so you have to be really committed to your job, but also committed to your life. And I think it's that like life balance and like work-life balance that you have to really ensure that you protect. But then on the financial side, it's almost like because we just started the business, we didn't know if we were practicing the right pricing at the moment. So we established a couple of surveys, etc., and we found that we got it properly correct. Where we kind of like failed a little bit is when we prepared for the material. Very first stage of the pandemic, for the let's say 3 months, it was good. We had really nice videos, really nice content, beautiful photographs about the Caribbean. And after a while, no one was traveling, no influencers, no travel journalists. And we started to see the same content on different platforms every now and then on the same or different markets. So the market who was using adventure content started to use honeymoon, whilst actually it wasn't really relevant to them at all.
Yeah.
Or like the Spanish-speaking countries were using content that it was actually targeted for the French-speaking countries at first. So it didn't really speak to the market itself. So I think, yes, the mobilization of resources was difficult and tricky for the Caribbean as a whole last year. But we're getting better now. We started to send new influencers, travelers, and we also have more inclusivity, diversity, so we can represent, the world properly and continue to sell the dream properly as it should be.
It's amazing. I'm going to give you a round of applause because I just think that's amazing. Being more cognizant of the people that you serve and being able to actually show them people that look like them and act like them and that are them. So I think that's really wonderful. So it's crazy. This 30 minutes just always goes by too fast because now we've got like 6 minutes left, and this is like what I've been waiting to ask you because we have a hard time looking forward. Most people have a hard time being visionaries, and they can't live somewhere in the future and they don't make decisions based off that. They make decisions off of being very much like right here in front of their face or in their current circumstances. All three of you had to think way outside the box in order to make it up here and to be able to continue to thrive and be successful. I want to know what you think about 2022. I want to think about it from a consumer standpoint too. Give me what you think consumers are going to do. Give me what you think that people should be paying attention to and what you're excited about. So those things are kind of like exactly what, I'm just selfish, what I want to know, all right? So Jamie, can you kick us off just a little bit? I think, oh yeah.
Yeah, I think first up, my good friend and that I kind of great marketeer, he's calling it the third wave, the third age of travel, where we're going into the more conscious travel now. I think that is definitely something that is a trend for 2022, with consumers wanting to be more sustainable. They're low. I don't even need to quote a statistic because just Google it. There's loads of statistics that says that consumers now want to be more sustainable in their travel, and they want the brands that they travel with to also do that. So I think that's definitely a trend that will continue. Outside of 2022, I'm very, in terms of, we said from the consumer perspective, but I'm going to from a marketing perspective as well. Yeah. I'm very interested in behavioral science at the minute, and looking at how that kind of influences consumers' decisions into booking and buying travel. It's been used in the government a lot, but now I want to really dig deep into how it works for a travel and tourism perspective.
You know, something that everybody should look up, and you'll love this, is attachment theory. Okay. How many people know what attachment theory is? Anybody read that? We're such dorks. Why do we read this stuff? Attachment theory is human behavioralists who took, like, how do people latch on? And when I broke that down and started thinking about it, they need to be seen, they need to be challenged, was the one that surprised me. I was like, wait, you have to challenge people to get them to want to stay, and you have to be definitive. So like if you think about like your personal brand, right? Yeah. You have to stand for something, you can't be in the middle, or else you won't have a dedicated following. And I think all of those things, like I feel like I paid you to say human science here, because this is the overall theme, but that is so dead on. Yeah. Florian, same question. Predictions, what you're excited about?
I think just to touch base on what Jamie just said, we like to say that digital marketing in tourism and travel as well is like combining art with science at the same time, you know, and it's almost like, okay, how are we going to do and ensure that we keep the consumer going. So from a consumer point of view, I think what they want to see from the surveys that we have had is that health and safety will be first. They want to be sure that when they're going to travel, they will be safe. Because from the first time, you know, after the pandemic, traveling could mean that you will be in a potential position of health issue. Whereas before it was just partying, adventure, relaxation, etc. Whereas now there's a factor risk that we have to take into consideration because it's at the forefront of a consumer preoccupation. From our side of view, so from the business side of view, I think I'm really excited to work more collaboratively with partners and to really look for what's going to come up from a digital innovation point of view. Artificial intelligence. We need to keep an eye on it. We need to invest on it. Yesterday there was the Minister of Summit with the UNWTO and the WTCC. And yes, they have health and safety, sustainability, and inclusion, diversity at the forefront of the agenda, and this is where the investments will go, and that is where we need to focus on our strategies, from a destination point of view at least.
Amazing. Martin.
I think hand in hand.
There's like a heavy weight in the room. Everybody's just waiting to see what is the last. Yeah.
What am I going to finish on? Yeah. Well, I think just to pick up a little bit on sustainability, it's a huge topic at the moment. It's a big thing that's going to be here to stay, hopefully, and it's a huge thing in our business as well. But slightly goes hand in hand with that. What we're noticing, I think, a lot is that people, when they're booking to go on holiday next year or even the year after, they're looking to do it more responsibly and get more involved in local communities, make sure their money is going into the right places, see destinations properly, perhaps not quite so many destinations, not fly all over the place, but actually see a few destinations properly, and maybe for longer periods of time as well. So those are all things that we have noticed, and it's giving our product guys are really excited, I guess in terms of what we're excited about. They're really excited because they can make holidays kind of how they wanted to make holidays without price being necessarily the number one thing that people are now looking for in terms of general trends. pricing at the moment is probably down in four or five in terms of people's priorities for the next 12 months.
Not to stop you, what are some of the other priorities? Because that's a big shift, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Sustainability, I think, is massive. Responsibility, the destination, I think, and health and safety comes into it as well. And then I think it was fifth was price at the moment. So
Sorry, Martin, I didn't want to keep you.
No, go ahead.
yeah,
I think we can have also transformation. Because the 4 Ps are way obsolete now, and we're really focusing on emotion, experiences, and feelings. How does that make you feel when you travel, when you book a trip, etc. So we forget about the 4 Ps, and we really now focus on transformation tourism.
yeah. And so the kind of holidays that our product guys are coming up with to put out are so much more richer, so much more involved, and so perhaps much more creative than perhaps what we would have done in the past. And that sets a really exciting trend for next year and the year beyond. But actually, it's not just about putting out a cheap price; it's about putting out a really good holiday. That's what we're currently noticing people are looking for.
Amazing. All right, rapid fire, really fast. What's the one thing everybody has to go do right now? Just give them one thing to go do. Give them the action point. We'll start with Florian and go down this way. Give them action, something that they should go do right now. If it's a book, it's something. Just give them something they can go do that's actionable.
Network. Again, we've been here for 3 days, and I can see that people are like, okay, we don't really know if we can talk to you. Like as Jamie said, just go for it. Just go. We are in the industry of people. Yes, we do services, but it's first of all human interaction. We go to encounter, what we could have said on transformation, yes, but also on the community-based tourism, etc. It's all about tourism. Is all about people. Yes, there's the landscapes and the activities, but first of all, we want to see what is the culture about, etc. So keep on, interacting. Go out of your comfort zone and go and see someone that you haven't met before. And learn something from them.
Florian loves hugs. He told me to tell you that. And also, if you just put your hand right on his face, just right here, just rest it there. Okay, perfect. JB Lee?
I'm going to keep it short and simple. Follow me on LinkedIn and join my mailing list, and then you'll get all the information you need.
Yes, okay. Something about Antarctica, go.
Yeah, book a holiday to Antarctica. No, I think review what you're doing and be brave.
Amazing.
Embrace a bit of pivoting.
And it was very brave of you guys to be up here. Thank you so much for giving us your time. Huge round of applause for our panel. Thank you all so much. And now we're going to transition into getting rid of these pillows. This is our last session. How many people have been here the whole time? How many people have been here? Wow. Goodness. Is your butt asleep? Is that a thing? I don't know if it is or not. This is the last session. This is the one that's going to be on brand. This is the one that I feel like totally needs to be our last session before we go back out into the world, because how many people of us work for a company? How many people own a company in here? Look around really quick, yeah. You're in a room of peers, entrepreneurs, people that are absolutely going to identify with this. This person is just incredible, because Ree Perez, I met him many years ago. He wrote a really fantastic book, Says Your Brand Should Be Gay, which I think is an absolute must-read bestseller, by the way. You have to go get that book. Ree has opened my eyes to what a good brand is and what great brands are. What brands are legacy and what brands get to be kind of the things that shape our culture. And he himself is one of those. And I would tell you, if you're not following, and go follow Branding for the People, which is his company, you should go do that now to stay in touch with this guy. But that's a lot of intro. But I will say this. You know what? Let's just bring Ree Perez. Are you there? Are you there? Where's Ree? Ree Perez. Hello. Can we hear you?
Hey, everyone. Hey, Marcus. How's it going?
Great. It's going really well. You look so good. Look at your hair. Oh, my goodness. Well, there's a wonderful group of people here who are absolutely excited about this last session of the day. People have been sitting here for the last couple of hours, and we are going to close on a really great note. And I'll tell you what's really interesting about you is that you've been called a lot of things, right? You're an innovator. Some things we can say here, some things we can't. But you're an innovator. You're definitely a brand just expert. You're all of those things. How would you describe yourself?
Well, one thing I will say on my book title you said earlier is your brand should be gay, even if you're not.
Oh, sorry, I forgot that part.
No, but it's actually really important to say, because it's really, I'll talk a little bit more about it later if we need to in terms of why I named it that. But the reason I bring that up in the context of your question is because, I am someone who likes to sort of disrupt or pique people's curiosity, and through through branding. But that's what I do as a profession. But I refer to myself as, might sound a little rude, but I'm a spiritual being having a human experience through business and in life, and really out to inspire people to live their best lives personally and professionally and business. So that's how I relate to myself, in addition to all those other identifiers that you had attributed to me.
Yeah, it's funny. We're here to get like these big juicy brand nuggets from you. But I think on a personal note, I would love to ask you what you're excited about, because you see everything. You are everywhere. Like the brands that you get the opportunity to be a part of, and just like the access that you have. Because I'll say that's really interesting about people like Ree up here. And everybody's just looking at the screen right now, by the way. I'm just letting you know that, Ree. So everybody's looking at you, okay? One thing that's really interesting about people like you is that Ree is tapped in. He has access to things that many of us will never have access to. So what I want to ask you is this, and this is maybe put your brand hat on here for a second. What are you like super excited about right now? Because I feel like there's probably tons of things that you can be pulled and distracted and like all this stuff. What are you super excited about? And this could also be personal too, but I just wanted to open that because, that'll help us segue into brand.
Yeah, so I've been running my own agency for the past 10 years, and I've worked with a lot of Fortune 500 brands prior to that. And so in a way, I've been excited about the brands we've been working on for the past 10 years. But as you're asking me the question today, I really am excited about collectively as businesses, but also as people, accelerating human consciousness. And, you might say, well, why is this guy talking about consciousness in the realm of it, or in the topic of branding? Is because I think that where the businesses that are going to accelerate and thrive are businesses that are conscious. What I mean by that are purpose-driven, that are really operating from a place of high degree of integrity, and really looking to help to lift the experiences that all of us want to have through the businesses that we support and buy from.
Yeah. And do you feel like people, and in your experience, do you think that people make purchasing decisions based on like your purpose statement? And by the way, how many people have a mission statement by raise of hands? I don't think you can see this, Ree, but how many people have like a purpose statement, mission statement, core values? Yeah. It's interesting because I feel like that's something that's overlooked, Ree. Like I feel like it's actually something we kind of scoot on by pretty quickly in our building of our business. Why should people slow down a little bit to speed up there? Why is that kind of an important piece for brand?
Yeah, so one additional thing, and then I'll answer your question, is so for those listening in, when I say that why I'm excited about that and how I invite you to sort of listen into it, is that businesses, but also I've been really excited about working with personal brands, not just business brands, but personal brands. So if you think about it, a company is made up of people. And when you have a mission, when you have a purpose, or if you have a vision, whether it's as a personal brand or a company brand, it becomes your North Star. It becomes a guiding light of some of the decisions that you make downstream. This is on brand versus off brand, right? And so that's one functional thing of why you want to have a mission and values and so forth. But another thing it also allows us to do, and we'll see this a lot in brand building, is it aligns you with people who are in congruence with the same values and the ethos and the mission that you're aligned, that you're supporting. And so it's really clear to articulate that, not just for yourself, but also to communicate to the world, this is who you are and who you're not, and give them an opportunity to self-select or opt in, if you will.
Yeah. It actually segues right into something that I'm absolutely curious about that I think I've always wanted to ask you. You deal with brands for sure, but one thing that we've seen over this pandemic period is that everything kind of is starting to break down a little bit. And one of the key components of that's breaking down across not just the travel industry, but also kind of like businesses as a whole, is trust.
Yeah.
And what I'm thinking is, look, we don't trust anything, do we? Like, I don't trust the media. I'm not trusting my friends anymore with their like restaurant reservations. They're terrible, right? But I'm trying to figure out and sift through all of it. How do you, like in your mind, how are people able to start to reinstate trust in their brand?
Yeah. So at the end of the day, so let's unpack a couple of things. So one, the way that I define brand is it's about creating a desired perception in the marketplace. But here's the add-on to that is really it's about creating a relationship with the people that you're marketing or selling to, and conversely too, as a consumer, we have a relationship with companies, and the basis of any great relationship is trust. And at the end of the day, we buy from companies that we trust, like, admire, and respect, right? So we probably all heard that phrase. So then let's unpack your question. So in my mind, I think there's three things or layers that we can look at in terms of trust. I think the first one is a common word, but I do want to highlight it. But it's a word. It's the concept of integrity, and the integrity of your word, the integrity of you're going to do what you say you're going to do with your customers, right? So that is foundational. The second thing is also about flexibility. So while you have integrity, I think, and we could talk a little bit more about, sort of being flexible in an ever-changing environment. That is going to also help to create trust, because that imbues the fact that you are interacting in an environment that is ever-changing and that you're listening to your customers. And the last thing that I believe breeds trust is consistency. And so this also gives an opportunity for a lot of businesses, even currently, of like, hey, where have they been inauthentic historically? And for those businesses that have been authentic or have those guiding principles and values and so forth, if you're consistent with who you are, if you're consistent with your mission, and you're consistent in your behaviors, in your actions, and how you handle problems, that creates trust in people. I just use a very tactical example, whether you're a Starbucks fan or not. Like, if I go to Starbucks here in the States or in the UK, like, I'm gonna expect to have a consistent experience. It may not be the same experience everywhere, but it's a consistent experience. So consistency creates trust. And so, yeah, consistency, flexibility, and integrity.
Amazing. You mentioned Starbucks, first of all. How many people love Starbucks in here? Anybody? Yeah, me either. What? Yeah, but we don't like the brands, that make it. Have you ever noticed that? Like, it's like Starbucks started out like those little places that we like Hippo and Richmond and all those cool little spots. But we tend to not really gravitate and grab onto those big, like, I don't have a Walmart t-shirt, right? And I think that's a really interesting thing to think about. So that transition is into this. You work with those brands. You work with some of the biggest brands on the planet. You work with all kinds of brands. I know you're fascinated with personal brands, but you work with brands all over the place. And what I want to know is, based on what you just said about those three things and building the trust, who's doing it right? Like, who can we follow and go out there and, quote unquote, steal like an artist, not like, not rip them off, but like we can emulate them? Yeah, who is that?
Yeah, let's use the word inspired by rather than stealing from.
That's a marketing word. I appreciate that.
So obviously talking to businesses in the travel industry. And so what I would propose is to talk about some of the industry, or categorically, the businesses that are doing it right. So let's just look at the e-com businesses, right? Online clothing or consumer products. I think one of the things that why they're doing that right is because they're really looking at creating their brand experience online. I think it's some statistic around 5 seconds or less. Like, if there's something off in the user experience online, it's going to actually shift, or you're going to drop off, and you'll lose a customer in those first few seconds, right? So e-commerce obviously really enhanced their online experience. But then you can look at the food industry or the restaurant industry. And I also get a chance, and it's not like I'm intimately involved in all of these industries, but I speak with a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners. So even in the restaurant industry and the food industry, obviously they had to pivot and creating more of an online digital experience, right? But also, even just from a business perspective, I know a woman who is not even working on opening up new restaurants, but creating kitchens where people can actually prepare their food so they can deliver to more people. That's a business that's just booming, right? So they're creating an opportunity, not just for people to go back to work and serve other people, but they're creating opportunities that are outside of the traditional norm of how they would operate their restaurant, but they're creating food service delivery. I also think the education industry, I work with a lot of businesses in the education industry and moving their platform, of course, online, but creating an online experience that not only is up to speed with technology, but also caters to the fact that you're not just talking to the student, but you're also talking and creating an experience for the parents. And another industry I would say that's also really booming, at least from where I sit, is in the health and wellness industry. And so there's been a lot of challenges. There probably has always been historically a lot of mental health and wellness challenges. We're now just sort of like pressed up against and really looking at wrestling with this. And those brands are creating opportunities for the consumers or for people because it's a need, it's solving a problem. So at the end of the day, when you look at categorically these types of industries that are doing it right, they're solving people's problems and they're creating an experience for people that enriches their lives.
Problem solving or being at the intersection of solving that problem. It's funny, like people always say this, Ree, how many people here have a blog on their website? Yeah, no one's reading it. So what I just want to say this because we're using things wrong, Ree. Like the actual real reason you should have a blog is creating cornerstone pieces of content that show up where somebody has a question. So we meet them at the intersection of their problem, right? And I think that's also a really cool place because we don't talk about brand like that. We never talk about brand as a way to solve people's problems. So can you expand just really quickly on that, just a few minutes on how does brands solve the problem? Where do they meet them? Like where is the actual place that they should meet them? Is it at their question or how does brand integrity help that?
Yeah, so I mean, at the end of the day, every business, every brand should solve a problem. And so there's 3 different types of problems that you're solving for people, right? Broadly speaking, there's like a functional problem, like help me so let's actually talk about it. So like when the pandemic first hit, what are the problems that we needed to first solve, right? We needed to solve being able to get, our safety and our security needs, or basically our food and shelter, right? Mm-hmm. And then it evolved into our security and our safety needs. And then the problems that we needed to solve are problems that were more around making our lives more comfortable and enjoyable and fulfilling. And so it almost sort of mirrors Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? But so there's functional problems, and then there's economic problems that you might be solving. And economic problems are measured in terms of time or money, right? So you're solving either saving you time, right? Or giving you more time to be able to do things that you want to do, or it's helping you to create money, save money. And then the other problems that type of problems that you can solve are emotional problems. And this is where sort of the rubber meets the road, because we're all human beings and we respond to things that really impact us on an emotional level. And so if you can solve the emotional problems, I started mentioning them somewhere earlier, but safety, security, sense of belonging, these types of things I think are important for brands and businesses. Solve those problems, and then you're going to create value. And if you create value for your consumers, that's where the opportunities and that's where the business sort of accelerates, in my view.
All of that sounds very, it's funny. Like, the thing I know about you, Ree, is like you're actually way more art than you are science, right? But what we're talking about here is like science stuff. It's like, hey, here's it's a utility, what we just talked about. I want to shift a little bit because I actually want to get pretty romantic right now, right? Like I want to.
Okay, let's do it.
Hold on. No, but I want to have some of that poetry in this because brand, in my mind, has always been the people that can truly catch the hearts and minds of people, right? And that isn't necessarily like, hey, I'm solving this problem, this problem, this problem, this problem, right? So I want to know from you how because people attach to different brands. Like I love Apple because they told me to think differently, right? Like I love certain brands because they connected with me on a human heart level, right? So I want to talk about, let's forget our head for a second. Give me the heart stuff that people should be doing with brand.
There's so much in terms of like the heart stuff of branding. So let me say this. We were jamming on this the other week too, and I like to talk about it a lot. I'm not the innovator of this concept. In fact, one of the people who talk about it a lot is Simon Sinek on the concept of infinite games. I know I can't actually ask the group if anyone's heard of the concept of infinite games.
Oh, you got one hand, Ree. You got one. Right here, two. Can I get a two? I got two up here for you, Ree. Okay, yeah. Awesome. Two out of like 10,000, so we're good.
So for those who have never heard of the concept of infinite game, I'll create that distinction for you. So there's a distinction between finite games and infinite games. And in a finite game, there are a set of known players. There are an agreed upon set of rules. And the objective of a finite game is to win. And these are games that we're probably very familiar with, right? The objective is to win. Now, in an infinite game, there are known and unknown players. There are rules, and the rules are subject to change. And the objective of an infinite game is to have so much fun that you want to continue playing until you run out of the will or resources to play. And so if you think about it, I'm going to connect what you said in terms of the heart of it. Like, think about it. We all, like, what would that be like in business and in life if we were playing an infinite game where we brought in more of that fun and in that heart space? You know, I heard Ezra Firestone speak the other week. For those of you guys may or may not know him, but you know, it's like there's three things that you really want to be doing as a business, right? It's creating value, which speaks to what I said earlier, right? Solving people's problems, have fun, and be profitable. That's it. It's pretty simple and pretty basic, right? And so having fun, bringing more joy and fulfillment in people's lives and for yourself and for your employees, I believe that's the heart space that we want to play in, and that really creates the thriving experience, at least for a lot of the clients, the private clients that I have, for the businesses that I work with. That's where they're really feeding the soul of their business to accelerate their growth.
You know, I'm going to throw you a curveball because we didn't talk about this, but we're already like, we're in the heart now. You know what I'm saying? We can't go back, guys. We can't. We're like right here. Tell us on the human side. We've been talking about this all day. Every single panelist, I opened my opening keynote, which you probably didn't see, but it was all about human behavior, right? And how important it was to truly understand that. Is that also important from where you're sitting in the brand seats and the conversations you're having with your, you know, the private clients and all the stuff you're doing? How important is it to really understand human behavior as you're putting together and helping people understand their brand?
I mean, obviously the answer, you know, predictably is going to be, it's very important, but let me back that up, because most people, so I'm a brand strategist at heart. And most people think I have a design background. Like, I've studied design and I have a good design eye. But for me, my degree at my profession is in organizational behavior and communication. So when I used to consult at some of the Fortune 500 companies, it was around creating a brand culture and really mobilizing their people and their employees, but also how do you create a culture externally? And so I believe that that's really what helped me to sort of catch the attention of some of these bigger branding firms, and also how I imbue this in my own agency. Branding is not about just pretty logos and colors. It's about creating a culture, and it's about understanding how people behave, not just in isolation and individually, but collectively within a culture, within an organization, and then externally, and interacting with their consumers and customers. And the other piece of that too, which wants to get highlighted, is that in a culture, in a organism, if you will, if you relate to brand building in a cultural context, there's inevitably some sort of feedback loop. There's an interaction, which is why that's why I believe branding is about a relationship. And which is why I said earlier, flexibility is key. And so while the world is ever changing, you as a brand, whether you're a personal brand or a business brand, want to be able to have that interaction and that relationship and that connection, that you're listening to people, listening to the behaviors, listening to, even more importantly, the values that are behind those behaviors. So the way that it works is that there's a set of thoughts and beliefs and value systems that predetermine or typically dictate our behaviors and our actions. And so that's why when I say building a brand and creating a set of values, you brought it up earlier, creating a set of values and belief systems, that's where people align with. And when you're tuned in to what are the belief systems of your customers, then you can speak into that, you can collaborate with that, and you can respond to that in a way that where they feel seen, heard, and validated.
When you see that, thank you so much, by the way. Every time you talk, it's just so smart. Like, do you ever say like or like, you've just got it all up here. The thing that you just said, the last part about basically brands and people, whether it's a personal brand or it's a a bigger company brand that you'd be working with.
Yeah.
I just wonder if there is an actual formula to creating that type of attachment. Like earlier, by the way, just to give you a little bit of insight, on the panel that we just had, we talked about attachment theory just really fast, right? And what people need. So I want to know, just practically, how are you creating brands, or what are the steps that people can do to get people, because I will say this, when people are really in love with your brand, like value and really care about your message and what you stand for, they're actually more forgiving too. Right? Like they tend to stay with you even if you mess up or the product's not that great or you did something bad. They really love it because they're not going to find that very specific value set or culture outside of that with another product or service. So I just wanted to figure out, am I accurate in saying that? And you've obviously had a bunch of clients who have made mistakes or taken missteps since how important was that in the forgiveness aspect of being, talking to the consumer?
Yeah, so there's two parts of that. So there's what I'll sort of categorize as sort of like a branding sort of problem, and then a communication and engagement problem. And so at least how I'm sort of interacting with your question is sort of a lot of times when you're interacting with your customers, that's more of like an engagement and communication, like how you deal with problems, how you address issues, how you respond to press, or when you respond to people sort of standing up for like, hey, this doesn't work for us. It's how you communicate and how you engage with them. But the other side to that is also, well, foundationally, what does this brand stand for, and who are we at our core, right? And so let me just address that. And so at your core, in terms of positioning your brand, I like to think in terms of Venn diagrams. Most consultants do. So if you think of a Venn diagram, there's three broad circles. And in terms of your positioning your brand, the first one, your brand has to be something that is credible, right? You have to have some experience or credibility in being able to deliver on solving a certain problem that you're solving in the marketplace. The second domain is about being unique. And so how are you unique, and how are you uniquely positioned to solve that problem vis-a-vis all the other types of companies that might be solving the problem that you're solving for your customers? And then the third thing, and I think I'm going to highlight this because it's even more useful today, is relevant. How is your brand relevant to your audiences? And that relevancy matrix, I believe, is ever changing. And so I want to give you some pointers in terms of how can you be more relevant with your customers today, right? So being relevant, of course, solving people's problems, but being relevant is validating your customers, listening to them, having them be seen and heard, and also being able to enrich their lives. So I know I'm talking to a lot of people in the travel industry. Here's the thing, it's not about people wanting to just go from point A to point B. They're looking for experiences. Like I used to travel three times a month as a speaker pre-pandemic, right? And so now I think people are more judicious about where and when and for how long they're traveling. And it's not even so much where they're going, but it's the experience that they're going to have when they're traveling. So how can you be relevant in creating experiences for them? So I know I'm kind of jumping around to different concepts, but I wanted to address brand positioning and how best to position your brand. Being relevant and looking through that filter, how can you be relevant today, not just, what was relevant a year ago may not be relevant today, may not be relevant for tomorrow. And then also, how do you deal with, we'll actually call it reputation management, which is around the communication and engagement strategy when you have a problem, when things go wrong, and how do you own up to things? Because like you said, people are more forgiving when a brand is strong and they actually communicate and they engage when things go wrong.
Amazing.
That was a lot that I just...
No, it's great. I'm sitting here watching everybody's face, and most of them are still awake. And so you're doing well. Look, we only have a few minutes with you, and by the way, thank you so much for doing this. I would rather have you here in London. I think everybody would rather do that, but this is pretty great setup, and it's pretty instantaneous. So I'm really thankful for good internet connection. Here's the last question, and it's crazy because you've heard this question a million times, but every single time I have anybody like you in a conversation, I'm going to ask the same question over and over again. There are things that people should be paying attention to, and there are clearly things people shouldn't be. There's like kitschy things, like things that are just there that have emerged as trends within this pandemic that have been kind of popular. And I was wondering if you could maybe, I guess, play us out here in the last couple of minutes, is just what should people be paying attention to in 2022 and beyond? What should they really be focusing in on in terms of brand? And what should they just run away from like the plague? Like, what is some things that we can just leave back behind the pandemic? Like, we're trying to go into this, and maybe meditate on the travel industry specifically, but obviously broad strokes are great.
Well, I am going to point to something, maybe it's a reinforcement or a reiteration. I feel like it wants to get highlighted in response to your question, is really pay attention to the degree of the experiences that you're creating for your consumers, for your clients, for your customers, your audiences, and having those experiences elevate, if not enrich, our lives. So, for example, one of the things that I do, and also just some of the circles that I'm in, is doing high-end retreats. That is a lot of people that I know are really hosting, self-included, are hosting these high-end retreats. Why? Because people want to travel and experience things that either A, they weren't really experiencing before, or B, if they were, now they have a new lens from which to experience it from. And it really is about enriching people's lives, and also really reminding us of our collective purpose and our humanity, and also just the ability to raise consciousness. So yeah, I would say experiences, and then I'm going to connect that back to like the who I am that you said at the top of the thing, is really looking at creating a business from a place, and creating your own personal life from a place of what is going to help elevate and raise all of our consciousness and us as a collective. So again, not to get too woo, but I do believe that. I do believe that there is a beautiful opportunity for us to merge the heart and the head with business, and have that be a really powerful dynamic and interaction in the marketplace.
It is always amazing to talk to you. Thank you for being so generous with your time and giving it to us. If you got something out of this, can you give a round of applause for Ree? I know he can hear it. Yes, Ree, you're getting a huge applause. All right. Brother, thank you so much, and we'll see you soon. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. All right.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. And I had to literally stand by the podium just because there's a camera shot, but I don't like it. I just want to leave you with one thing. This is a way to kind of bring this all together for you, and I wanted to just put up my presentation deck really quick. I do something with my team. So I've got teams on all over the world, and something that we do just to wrap up anything that we do is to kind of reiterate, just to kind of say, what's the big theme, right? Like, obviously everybody knows the theme is human. This is something that we all talked about, Ree talks about. We're trying to connect all those elements, and human obviously isn't the remedial version of that word. There's so much more to unpack. But the one thing that I do with my teams is I actually share something with them that I think is going to be really helpful for you, and it's just something we'll send out on and end on. And please use this for anything, but this is something that I work through with every single leader that we have and all the different brands that we work with on the marketing side. And this is an equation. How many people love math? Anybody love math in here? Me either. This is a huge acronym, okay? And it actually goes from literally right to left. Did you see that? Okay, good. This is a foul. It also hurt really bad to bend over like that. And so, goodness gracious. So listen. Did that just happen? Yes, it did. All right, great. This is how we're going to end because every single person that we work with has to figure out a couple things about their marketing vision. So this is just the added part of it. So starting from right to left, the V. What do you think the V stands for? What was that? Vermont? Value? Value? Vision. Vision. When you're creating a marketing plan, when you're talking about all these things we're wrapping up together and you're thinking about the future of travel marketing, you have to be able to articulate and have the vision intact. You have to start with the end in mind. We don't like living in the vision phases. We don't. We just absolutely don't. In fact, most of the time we spend very little time on the idea behind where we're going, right? And we have to be able to articulate it because how many of you have taken a really great opportunity, but 2 years down the road realized it wasn't the right opportunity, right? The only way that you're ever going to be able to measure whether something is the right opportunity or not is if you clearly understand where you're going. Or you're going to have like an oh shit moment and be like, how did I get here? It's because we took a great opportunity, not the right one, right? PBC, no one has ever guessed this. No one on any of my teams, nobody. But think psychology. Anybody want to throw it out? Take a guess? It's not peanut butter chocolate. My daughter said that and that's wrong. It's not correct. Anybody? I'll give you a positive. Please be what? Yeah. Yes, positive behavioral change. Positive behavioral changes. When I think about the vision and when we're casting it for anybody in marketing or otherwise or any business that we have, I always think about the really hard things that we have to do in order to get where we want to go. Like people say the 5 closest people to you are a reflection of who you are as an individual. Yeah, some of you are like, oh shit, right? I got to get rid of her. Yeah, she isn't helping you. But I'm telling you the truth is that when you're really serious about the vision, you make really hard choices. Like, how many people here go to the gym? Yeah, right, good. So what's interesting about that is, have you ever met an ultra athlete, like an Iron Man or woman? Anybody met them? They're insane people. Oh yeah, they will run barefoot through a wall to get where they want. It's a testing ground for how serious you are about the vision. And it's also really great because if you cast the vision and these people who you're trying to get you to follow that vision, if they're willing to do the hard things, right? That's a really good one. And by the way, getting rid of those people in that 5, that is so serious. You need to get those toxic ass people out of your life. That's just an added bonus. All right, G, what do you got? Goals, yes, now we're getting it. Goals, we are the worst goal setters on the planet. Congratulations, we are. When do we set goals? We do it one time a year. When is it? New Year's, right? We make these New Year's resolutions like, I'm going to eat cake. I'm not going to eat cake is mine. And then I realize my wife has Photoshop and she's a photographer and I'm like, fuck it. But I will say this. We need to be more visual with our goals. We need to be visual about everything that we're doing. But in order for all of this stuff that we learned today, we actually have to write it down. That's the secret. Anybody have white dry erasers? Anybody have those at home or in their offices? I write on my mirrors at home all the time. My wife hates it. Like I literally write that every day so I can see exactly what I have to accomplish. I call it my big 3. But I put that everywhere, including just like places I'm going to see it because goals that are not written down are just proclamations and they're never going to happen. And then SK, that's skills and knowledge. That's like what you're doing right now. You literally took time out of your day today, some of you for 3 hours almost, and sat here to listen and absorb what you're going to go use in your business. And what's interesting about that is skills and knowledge is wild to me because I don't think it's actually, like I've met a lot of well-educated, unsuccessful people. So I don't necessarily think it's where you went or what's hanging on your wall. I think it's about the investments that you make in yourself and also sometimes being very serious about where you're going. Like what you're learning and putting in your brain should actually reflect where you're trying to go. Right? Like it's probably not another night of Netflix if you're super serious about your goal. Even though, what's the best show on Netflix? Anybody? You don't watch Netflix, guys? Oh, I'm the only one? Anybody else wasting time? Am I the only person that drinks wine and watches Netflix? Is that it? Yeah, we have a couple people, right? Netflix and all those things are actually a barometer of how serious we are about where we're trying to go and how we communicate that to the world in our messaging and also what we're doing with our lives. The last one, the denominator, the actual multiplier that I tell our team, and what I'm going to tell you right now too is, it's action. You sat in here all day listening to speaker after speaker of person that's going to pour something into your life and give you something that you can go and do. And I'll tell you that if content without implementation is just a distraction. You just wasted 3 hours of your life if you don't leave here immediately and go apply something to your life. And action's the hardest thing. It's the reason why we have this. Like, you can have a great vision. You could change your whole life. You could go to the gym in the morning and do all the hard things. You can set all your goals. You can write them down. You could go to Cambridge or wherever university is prestigious. And none of that is actually a dictator or a an actual predictor of success. The people that do something with the information and are unbelievably passionate about implementing are the ones that separate themselves in the future of where we're trying to go. So the future of travel marketing is incredibly human. It is one of action takers and people who take massive action. And gosh, these last 3 hours have been really amazing. I can't believe you sat through it, but thank you so much. And we really appreciate it. And I hope you guys have a really incredible rest of your day. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.